Welcome to Season 7 of True Blue Conversations with your host, Adam Bloom. Real talk with those who pledge to keep us safe with grit, sacrifice and determination. Let's get on with the show. This episode of True Blue Conversations is proudly brought to you by Loudon Private Wealth, the team trusted by professionals, veterans and families across Australia to build real long-term financial security. If you want to take control of your finances, protect your future and build real generational wealth, Loudon Private Wealth are the people you want in your corner. They don't do gimmicks, they don't do hype, just smart strategy and honest advice, coupled with real-world experience. Check out the links in the description to contact Warren and the team via loudonpw.com.au or 02 8313 0418. Now let's get back to the show. This episode of True Blue Conversations was brought to you by Dead Reckoning Rum, creating individual rum releases commemorating the diggers lost in Afghanistan, proudly supporting veterans, donating 50% of all their profits to veterans organisations around Australia. Look up Dead Reckoning Rum, buy some bottles, connect via Instagram and Facebook and give them your support. Now, let's get back to the show.
G'day, welcome back to True Blue. Today, I'm coming to you live from the United Services Club in Newcastle, and I've got a very special guest on, a good friend of mine. We've been teeing this podcast up for a while now, and it's good to finally get her on to share her story. She had a very distinguished career, 27 and a half years in the Australian Army, serving first in the Medical Corps and then transferring over to the Artillery Corps, and multiple deployments around the world, and it's just great to get her on to share her story and capture her story for history. And so, Sue Osborn, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks so much, Adam. It's good to be here.
It's good to finally sit down with you and record this. And so, before we get into your military career, let's go back to a young Sue. Talk me through life growing up, what we like at school. Do you have any brothers and sisters? And were you good at sport?
Yeah, I grew up in a small surf beach town, I guess you could say, on the New South Wales south coast, like an area of Shell Harbour.
I know.
Yeah, beautiful area. I'll be heading down there this afternoon. But yeah, live mum and dad, my brother. I have an older brother. He's 18 months older than me. Yeah, we had a great life as kids, just hanging out down the beach, or, you know, as kids in the late 80s, you would go from one house to another, collect everyone and go
times.
Out for the day and come home with the lights on. So, yeah, that was my childhood. I don't want to say I was great at sport, but, you know, I did love sport. I did surf lifesaving as a kid, especially in my teens, played touch football and, yeah, was competitive. I think there is a competitive edge rather than a skill edge, I guess. But, yeah, that was my childhood. It was great.
Were you a bit of a scholar, or...?
No, I hated school. I hated the academic side of school. Like, most of my school was sport, playing touch football, representing South Coast, soccer, whatever it was. Definitely not academics.
I seem to find that with most veterans and first responders that I've ever had on.
Oh, we're dumb. Good with their hands.
Literally, the report card would always say, if applied themselves better, could achieve anything, but found their way. Everyone seems to find their way, whether it's you, as we'll get to in a minute, joining the army or police or fire, ambulance, whatever it is, you just seem to find a way.
Yeah. I think it's people that are doers would just get shit done.
And so I mentioned you joined the army, but did you have any family that had served in the military or first responder before you, or were you the first? No,
so my dad was British Army, so he served in Middlesex Regiment, went to Korea. We didn't talk about that much. I know, from stories, I think my dad forged his age, went to Korea quite young, and I don't think he finished on good terms. So, it wasn't a talking topic. I know a little bit here and there, but I wouldn't say, I'm joining the military because my dad served and my granddad served. I actually don't know because I never met any of my I met my nan, but yeah, it wasn't an aspiration, I think, from family. I think it was an escape away from where I lived, and not saying that there was anything bad down there, but I just always felt that there was more to life than what I was doing and where I was.
And so what drew you to joining the Army in 1993, a different time back then, and peacetime, not we hadn't had any wars or many deployments going on?
I think Somalia maybe just finished up, or maybe Cambodia. But I mean, I didn't watch TV, like I wouldn't. Yeah, there was no internet or stuff like that, so I wasn't researching to join to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I did surf lifesaving from like my young teens right through to joining the Army. I enjoyed my bronze medallion. I then instructed a little bit. So I always liked that side of thing. I always wanted to actually work on the Westpac helicopter. I'd see that and go, oh, that would be sweet. How cool a gig would that be on that? So I think, medical kind of had a role in that. But I mean, I actually don't know what triggered me. I think it was more, how can I get away and find myself? I'm going to join the Army. I don't know why that was a good idea.
So back then, and I'm not saying that you or I are old. I understand that back then the internet didn't exist. Kids today wouldn't know that the internet wasn't around back then. And I remember the old dial-up internet in early.
The sound, everyone remembers.
Yeah, and if you pick the phone up, you just disrupt the connection. Or did you go into recruitment?
No, I remember going into Wollongong recruiting. I remember doing the testing, and they sort of asked what I would be interested in. How I ended up in Army, I don't know, because, looking at my childhood, Navy probably was more... Like, I used to volunteer at the Marine Rescue and stuff like that in Wollongong, and then being, swimming and life-saving, you would think Navy, but I have no idea. Army kind of triggered something, and I went, hey, that'd be cool. I think it was physical. Like, I wanted to do some... fit thing, yeah.
I think too, like Navy would have like different time back then to opportunity wise.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember like I didn't do like my, I don't know what it's called now, but I did some TAFE units when I was doing my HSC, and I did this small ships crewman certificate as part of school, which was cool, cruising around Port Campbell.
So like your coxswain's...
Yeah. And I think because I got the smell of the diesel made me feel sick, that I was like, nah, I don't really do this.
I'll go Army instead.
Yeah. Because I needed that to go and do the surf rescue stuff. So,
yeah, right.
Yeah, but...
And so you go in, do pass all your testing, and then you go to Kapooka. And how old are you when you go to Kapooka?
Oh, so I originally joined, or tried to join as an apprentice, actually.
Oh, right.
They actually found a heart murmur. So apparently I had the heart murmur when I went through the medical, and so they put everything on hold and said, you need to go get this tested, get a letter and come back. And so at that point, when I'd come back and got the all clear... I was 18, so I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to do apprentices now. I'm going to just join the regular Army. So that was the difference, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that heart murmur, everything was okay?
It was on paper for years, and then we could loop back around this story. But
yeah, definitely.
I'm about to go to Timor, and I need to do this pre-medical.
Yeah.
There's all these records of this heart murmur because I had to go and see a specialist every year. And then I went and saw one to get a clearance, and he's like, heart murmur? I don't hear no heart murmur. And so from that point, I haven't given a fuck about it. Yeah, so I don't know where. It's probably still there. But
yeah, right.
Someone said it wasn't. So
you go with that because
exactly.
Then you can deploy. So.
I'm no different.
Yeah. So you go to Kapooka, and this is the 90s, so political correctness doesn't exist like it does today. And I know Kapooka, I've had over 160 people on now that have said Kapooka was different back in the 90s. What was it like for you? And was it the shock and awe of, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Or?
No, I honestly thought going to Kapooka was put a pack on your back, go humping over the hills, walking all day, coming back to sleep, getting up, go on and do it again. And so when I got there and it was like, no, there's a fair bit of academic and there's only a small portion that was physical, I was like, oh, well, this is pretty easy then. I can just cuff my way through the academic bit. But Look, I just turned 18, and I think, I was always good at stuff, and so I think I thought I was better than I was. I know I rubbed people up the wrong way down there. I know I couldn't be told. I could definitely be told, but there was a lot of dumb shit that you did that I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, why?
are we doing this?
Why does my socks have to have a smiley face? Like, the fuck does that prove? So it was things like that I'd be just, why?
Yeah.
Type thing. But look, I think people knew Recruit Osborn before they knew what I looked like.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my name got called out down that hallway many times, and I think my secos would want to punch me. Yeah. But it was all girls, so all girl platoon, female staff, one male seco and one male platoon sergeant.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, all females. So look, it was fine.
Because had they integrated at that stage? Or
No, it was all women.
Yep.
Yeah, all women. As in, there was a female platoon. So it was one building in Delta Company. I think it was 31, 32, 33.
Okay, yeah, right.
Off memory.
And do you remember, like, obviously, you say the dumb stuff, like, do you still make the bed with the hospital corners? And
I do, but I think that was more from a medic. And to be honest, how else does a sheet go? Like, who sleeps the fittest sheet? I mean, flat sheets to start with. So I don't even have a flat sheet, except when the in-laws come over. But I do, because that's how else does a bed go together without it?
Well, my mum was a nurse for 44 years, and I'm flat sheeted, so I just tuck it in, and she goes, I taught you better than this. And I said, I just can't be bothered. I just tuck it in.
It does look nice. And I do like uniform, square, orientated stuff. So I think I don't know. I do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so was your, recruit training, was it 6 weeks or was it 12?
No, 12 and, a couple of breaks in that. I think a weekend you go home and then there might be a day trip in a great Wagga, but...
Did you do I know I've had a couple of guests on that they went to the War Memorial and actually did the tour around the War Memorial?
We might have, to be honest, I can't remember. Yeah, to be honest, I think we did. I think there was a bus trip across there. Clearly it was a good point. I don't remember it really.
And so you do your 12 weeks and... At that stage, are you corps allocated? Or so you knew you were going medical?
Yeah, I joined as a medic. I knew I was going to medics. There was a couple of other chicks that I'd joined in Sydney with that were going to medics. So, it was a done deal. I was happy, but...
And did you get the family down to
come
out?
Yeah. Mum, Dad, my brother came down, watched the march out parade. Dad
proud
was very,
moment?
I think Dad was real proud because, we would then talk a little bit about army stuff, and every time I came home, because I was only posted to Ingleburn first, so wasn't too far back down to home. So, I liked sharing stories with Dad of what I was doing and what I'd achieved and where I was going. Yeah.
And you mentioned Ingleburn, it doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
So that's where you go for our civilian listeners, I'll put this into infantry. Go to Singleton, so the IET's training is it's initial employment training at Singleton. Where did you go?
Yeah, so medics is actually Portsea. Well, back then, back in my day, we went to Portsea and it was beautiful, like Fort Nepean, right on the edge of Victorian Peninsula, I guess you could call it. It was beautiful. So I think we left Kapooka 20 December 93, and so straight down to Portsea, lots of duties, wandering around the national park, which was cool, with our weapons and empty magazines, patrolling beaches for illegal people pulling up on their boats and stuff, because the CO had this, pretty spectacular house that had a footpath that went down onto his own private beach. So part of our duties was to patrol and wander around and make sure no one was doing that.
Yeah, right.
Again, why are we doing this? This is dumb shit.
Yeah.
But, to me, it was cool because, I was doing what I wanted to do, and it was a beautiful area. We'd always see dolphins in the afternoon, and, IETs was there.
And are you learning, at that stage and it changed later on when you mention East Timor, and we'll get to that in a minute. But are you learning what it is to be what a medic does? Or?
Yeah. All of it was clinical training. So, back then you kind of had to do, hospital work first. So generally everyone would do some time in a ward to learn patient care, bedside manner, clinical management before you could then go off to a RAP or a clinic or a med centre or something small, especially for women. Like, we never got the luxury of going straight to an RAP and do cool stuff, or to a battalion. So, yeah, we generally, on IETs, would be learning some trauma stuff and some clinical care. Like, it was fun. Like, now they've aligned it a lot more to enrolled nursing, but, yeah, it was what it was.
I did a podcast only a few weeks ago with a medic who he did a lot, and he was on the ground when the Black Hawk incident happened. He was the main medic, and I was talking to him about the advances that Afghanistan brought to the medical space, and he said we needed to, and when we're talking 1993, 93, 94, 90...
One of 94 was my basic medic course.
So 94, you look, I was 2 years old then, so, and where we were with medicine back then to where we are today, medicine's come on in leaps and bounds, and through Afghanistan, that was... medics had to adapt because...
Yeah, look, I think it's like anything. The circumstances that you're in will teach you to do things better. You could say our commandos were not very skilled at the beginning because they didn't have a lot of training. There wasn't a lot of knowledge. So medics were the same. We didn't have a big trauma-driven environment to learn that skill on, and you can only do so much into a mannequin or some pigskin, but
different with the real thing.
I think it's advances in technology, circumstance, environment that make you what you are, and you've got to capitalise on it, and I think Australians are good at doing that.
Of course. And as you said, when you joined, there wasn't much going. There wasn't many deployments. There was not, apart from going bush or doing exercises. There wasn't.
I mean, my first posting was to one field hospital in Sydney, and it was the then field hospital environment, and I chose to go there because I wanted to go bush because I like that sort of stuff. So you either were Sydney based or you're Brisbane based generally.
Okay.
If you went to Brisbane, you were a bit in the military hospital doing more clinical work, but I wanted to do the trauma stuff, go out bush, and so I'd only just missed out on a trip to Rwanda, which a blessing in disguise. But I was on the panel of rotations, and they only did 2, thank God, because there was some horrific shit that went down there.
I've had a really good friend of mine was a sergeant over there, and he's actually written a book, and go back and listen to his episode, and he talks about Rwanda and how
horrible
it changed his life.
I mean, I think that the deployment was horrible. I remember medics talking about this thing called see one, do one, teach one. So you would see an amputation, next day you're doing one, give or take, and then you're teaching someone else to do one. Trauma on such a big scale that no one had ever done before. But I think what is worse for those people is the treatment that they got when they come back. Because I was at one field and they all got posted out because I think it was a perception that if they stay together, they'll talk about it, it'll infect everyone, the negative, and it's what the fuck? But I do think we learnt a lot from that, and I think, I could be wrong in my facts here, but I'm pretty sure there was a clinical study done on that, which then drove the way we do POPs and post-deployment psych screening and stuff like that because of how bad they were treated.
Oh, shocking. And I've got a mate who was a young corporal and he was deployed with, and that's how my mate introduced me to him, and he lives where I live now, and he said Rwanda changed his life. It was, and
genocide is just not the same as other things.
No, not at all.
And not when you're going there to do a clinical role to help people and then you're witnessing really bad shit.
Oh, yeah, 1 million people getting massacred. It's just...
Yeah.
Go and read... the civilian listener, go and read Pure Massacre by Irish O'Halloran. He is a great mate of mine, and he was there. He was a sergeant, and it is I just couldn't believe what I was reading. And so do yourself and go back and listen to his episode. It's one of the, I think it's like episode 19, I think. It's a very, very early on when I did his podcast, so go back and listen to that. And so you get to one field hospital as a medical assistant, and so you, as you said, you're going bush, so dealing with sprained ankles. And,
no. In our hospital, like when we went field, we would get all the trauma stuff. So generally, you would be, the field hospital would be close to the frontish line, and so we would get guys that parachuted in, dislocate a shoulder, set fire to. If there was the old choppers, quite often we would get casualties come through resus that had burnt themselves on a chuffer or...
Oh, right.
Yeah, or motor vehicle accident, a rollover, or... Yeah, it was a fair bit of trauma sort of related stuff, not clinic, like not wardy stuff. Like we'd get them, we'd hold them on the ward, but yeah, it all stemmed from resus.
So and I'm guessing out there would be as well heat stroke or heat exhaustion or all those type of things that you get. Yeah,
absolutely. Snake bites or stick bites because, a stick is treated the same as a snake until determined otherwise. But
that's right.
Yeah, we definitely got all the trauma stuff that came through resus, and then we would hold them on the ward until they could recover to go back. It was kind of weird. Like you'd look back now and it'd be like, nope, you'd be repatriated, back to civilian life. Why we held people? Like I remember this dude that burnt both his hands, so he could not do anything for himself. So his hands are bandaged up. Hopefully he's not a listener. I don't know his name, but I remember him, and it's like, to save his humiliation, I got assigned him. He was one of my patients, and then I said, we're going to get pretty close here, and I'm going to help you out. So if you need support throughout the night and I'm not on shift, get someone to come and get me, because he doesn't need to have that repeated by all the staff members. And so you that's how I would build the rapport with the guys that I worked with years later, is having that professional care that I'm not just here doing a clinical job. Like I give a shit about where you're at and what you're doing and how that affects you.
Giving them a bit of dignity when he's lost his dignity.
100%. Like it was hard for him. It was hard for me too. But I'd turn. You just blank off for what it is, and it's like, no, what can I give? What can I do for this poor guy?
That's right, and terrible. Because people don't realise how important our hands are.
Oh, absolutely! Everyone's gone. What the? Everyone's gone visual on that.
Yeah, literally. Because, and I know myself because my dad actually nearly lost his thumb, and at work back in 2006, and a machine little. Tangent here, but that's okay. He lost down to the first knuckle, and it was Dad actually got off to help a mate put around a metal coil, and they didn't realise that there was a fault in the machine, that the machine would go out all the way, and then automatically override the operator, and it took Dad's thumb. Oopsie. It took Dad's thumb in and spat it back out. And Dad had to have microsurgery, and they were going to say, you talk about hands and how important they are. If the thumb didn't survive, they were going to amputate his toe and put it, because you think what you do with your thumb, you
need the grip.
You need the grip, and we didn't realise that how critical a thumb is because until Dad had lost that first, and it ended up he had to get special leeches in to flow the blood.
I've seen those things. Yeah.
So he became known as Leech Man, and they suck the blood through because
it's a thing.
It's got your thumb's got its own pulse. So, and it wasn't because it had cut into it's so important. And as you're saying, give a bit of dignity to that guy. And so you do that, and then in '96 you actually post to the Base Administrative Support Centre in Liverpool.
Oh yeah, it was.
What was this?
It was an RAP, but it was generally an area where people that were then not fit to deploy or injured or recovering would get posted to this region. It's like Moorebank, and so we were the RAP that would look after all these people. And I'm talking we had 700 people on our books that we would look after, because it's kind of all the non-deployable units that come under that. And, our sick parade would be easily 20 people, 25 people. People would be waiting at the door before I even got to work.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a busy time. But clinically, you learn a lot.
Are we talking like some of them were really injured, or are we talking just a general...
Look, I don't want to speculate, but, for whatever reason, people couldn't deploy or didn't deploy or got posted there as a break. This is times where no one deployed anyway.
Yeah.
So if you didn't want to go bush and do the same shit, me back or me something.
My knee or, my shoulder.
Yeah. And, it's just where people were posted to. But, in saying that, it was an RAP and I loved it and we were busy and I learned a lot clinically. We had a GP that would let us do some minor surgery sort of stuff and chop moles out. So we kind of were enabled to do clinical work and it was busy all the time. So there was no time to just sit around talking shit and doing nothing. So, yeah.
Well, in 1999, so we go forward, so you're there, and then in 99, you actually were on the move again and you completed your recruit instructors development course.
You missed me a little deployment between then.
Yeah, sorry. Let's go back to 1995.
Yeah.
You deployed to the Solomon Islands.
I did go there just before I posted. So I had this little. Yeah, I think at the time it was like a regular rotation. I think maybe Operation Shepherd or something. It was 3 months maybe. Yeah, time kind of gets past. But it was a medical clinic to go over to the Solomon Islands.
What was that like?
It was awesome.
Yeah?
We were in small training teams. I think there was 3 teams, 2 of us on islands, 1 stayed at the mainland and had some engineers with them that, helped rebuild the village. And then the medical clinic would tour around the island and we'd just pull into any little town.
Yeah,
we had interpreters with us. We had commandos that drove the assault boats for us. And we just, through tinnies, cruised around the Solomons, pull into a village, open up a clinic. Everything we had was in trunks that we were carrying. And
so it's sort of like a humanitarian deployment.
Yeah. And so, I had a really great GP and the nursing officer was Navy. And she was fantastic as well. So I would basically screen everyone if I didn't know. Meg Ford, she would screen them. If she didn't know, then the GP, he'd call us in and teach us. So, again, clinically, I learnt how to write notes. I also learnt how to read doctors' scribble too pretty well. So, it was really helpful stuff.
And how long was that trip for?
I don't know. A few weeks, maybe in 6 weeks or something. I don't know.
And when you came back, because I think every veteran I've ever had on, or I know it myself, when you leave Australia and you realise how lucky we are here. Yeah. Did you come back with, because Solomon Islands it's a third world country. You come back to Australia. It makes you appreciate how lucky we are.
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, I think any of those sort of island nations, they don't know what they don't have, and they're more than capable of surviving where they're at. But yeah, you definitely come back and appreciate life. And for me, I think it instilled, I wanted to do more clinical, trauma sort of stuff.
Yep.
Because of what I'd seen there. It was I don't want to be in pogey units. I wanted to go to the battalion.
And I can sense that with you because I've known you. You were always forward in your career. You weren't. If there was something going and you could be at the front, you were at the front.
Even when I was in that RAP, we have a lot of taskings for weekend or med support tasks. And I was single, young at the time, and a couple of my peers have families. So a staff sergeant would go, who wants to do this? Med support task, and it'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I got some really cool stuff. I went out to Eastern Creek Racetrack and sat up on the hill on the bottom of my ambo, just waiting for someone to spud in, and or not, watch them race, and it was pretty cool. Got to get on the back of a motorbike and whip around the track after the racing, and I did lots of cool med support tasks. Did some hiking in Yosemite National Park from a gig that I thought was just going to be some shitty weekend support. But we went to the US and did a hiking expedition over there, so it was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I've done a lot of podcasts with a lot of medics lately, and a lot of medics say to me that they're the best call. Would you agree in that, Sue? Or
The what? The best?
that medics are the best call. Like,
I don't know, because I call transfer. Look, I think everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. Like, if people would piss me off, it would be definitely like, don't get fucking sick, mate. I'll blunt that needle and you won't even see me do it.
Well, I know that there's always that saying that you don't piss the cook off and don't piss the medics off. They're the
Pretty
two.
much.
They're the two that
you definitely don't do it together.
You generally look after them, and I mean, if you're infantry, it doesn't matter if you piss a transporter off because you're going to walk anyway. So.
Exactly.
But so that deployment happens, and in '95, so first rewarding deployment wouldn't be your last. Wouldn't be your last, and we're going to get to East Timor because. You mentioned the heart murmur. Does that come around for Solomon, or
honestly,
that was all right?
No, that didn't even raise its head again.
Yeah.
And I went and saw, I think every 3 years I'd have to go and get an echograph done and see these specialists, and they'd still be talking about, apparently 3 of my valves don't close properly.
All right.
And so there's regurgitation. But hey, I'm still here. And
yeah.
I've never, 2000?
Yeah.
I got the all clear and I've never looked back.
Okay. Yeah, right.
So,
it must have just been something that was picked up.
I'll walk outside and probably have a heart attack.
Don't do that. I mean, I know CPR, but yeah, don't do that. No, we want you to live a long and happy life. So move from, as I said, and I didn't mean to skip over that one.
You're good.
Yeah, so 95, then 96, and then we go forward to 99 where you did your recruit instructors development course. What was that like? And what made you want to go down this path?
So, when I was at that RAP, I started training to be a subunit PDI. And, I'd gone on, I'd have to rewind this now. I think I'd gone on sub 1 for corporal. And I really loved that. And I did things that I knew I was never going to do again, digging a hole and living in my little pit and, having it all camouflaged up. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
No, we dug in.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we dug in the trenches. And I knew I was never going to do that again. So I loved it. I wanted to do it, as best as I could because I thought it was awesome. But, in some of the lead up when I was doing training, I failed some instructional stuff, and the humiliation, I thought, I will never feel like that again. So I'm going to just do whatever I can to study, rehearse, and do well at that course. So I'd come back from that and really enjoyed it. And then I started taking PT classes for the unit and really enjoyed that. And then I was attached to Holsworthy Gym for a little while, which is where all the PDIs hung out. And I wanted to go down a path of PT. And so, I went to Cerberus and got told from the career manager, we're not going to let you go unless you get Student of Merit. So, of course, I was like, yeah, done. So I go to Cerberus, get Student of Merit, career managers at the march out, and I hit him up. Am I going to be on the basic course next year? Oh, look, we're critical trade, and we were never going to let you go. We just didn't think you would top the course, so you can have whatever posting you want. And I was like, okay, I'll go to Kapuka. I want to be an instructor then.
Yeah, right.
And so, that's kind of how that panned out. And, Kapuka was awesome. Loved it.
And is that's a 3-year posting?
Yeah, that was 3 years. So I think I went down in end of 99 and left 2001, I think. But it was probably my first, sub 1 for corporal gave me a taste of all corps, and then going to Kapuka and working with battalion, guys that I'd been medic for on, exercises and stuff like that. I'd get to work with them and learn a lot more things and expand my knowledge, get good at, weapon systems and stuff like that, which, back in, it was oh, this is cool. This is what I saw Army being. Yeah. So, it was really, I enjoyed it.
And at that stage too, that, East Timor kicked off for the first time. You deployed later on to East Timor, but everyone, the balloon went up for Timor.
Yeah, obviously, So all the stories, could be related to, East Timor and operations. And, there was a guy that I was in a platoon with who's still serving, so I won't drop his name, but, he was from Thraoura, had been to Inifet, and then was in the platoon with me, talking actual facts with the boys. So, the recruits really got real life experience from that. And he wasn't the only one. There was plenty of guys. So, it was good.
Well, And I think too that's a really good point to highlight too. Of like when you joined, as I said at the start, you joined at peacetime. There wasn't a lot apart from like Vietnam. There was a period where it was peacetime.
Yeah, but I don't even think it was a publicised thing. Like there's probably more in media now about veterans and deployments and the war and the impact, but no one really talked about serving and the impact you got. Like I didn't serve because I wanted to deploy and have an accolade. I just wanted to serve my country and travel the world,
and get paid
travel
to do it.
and get paid and see cool things and
And then so a really rewarding time for you to be at Kapuka as an instructor.
Yep.
And it would be rewarding because you're shaping future generations going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, I was still learning. Like I'd only been in at that point, God, maybe 6 or 7 years myself. So I hadn't been in that long, but to be able to learn off the warfighters and what they were doing and how, you know, what I could get from them as well was going to make me a better soldier too.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And then in 2002, you return, so you do your stint at Kapuka, and then you return to your clinical trade, and you take up a role as the resuscitation sergeant at 1st Health Support Battalion, and shortly after you deploy on the short notice to East Timor for Operation, is it Citadel?
I think it was
Cadell or what?
Citadel.
Citadel.
Yeah. I think it was called something else at the beginning, but then it changed afterwards.
So talk me through this, going back to and then getting your second deployment to East Timor.
Yeah. So no, it was a good time. So like any all-core trade, medics is a corrosive skill. So if you're not doing clinical work, then it's going to corrode. So I did my Yippee trip down there to Kapuka. Came back to 1 HSP, Sydney base, and so they're the online unit to deploy. And I think I'd only been back maybe 4 or 6 weeks, and it was like, oh no, we're now taking over the UN hospital in East Timor. The first main body went over, so to speak, and then as I think there were Egyptians left, then we took over more capability, and I went over as resus sergeant. It was good. 6 months there. It was cool.
Nice.
It was me and one other sergeant, Trace Connors. Give a shout out to her.
And that was like with that. Were you? Because you'd done your 95 trip to the Solis as humanitarian. This was just, was there much, not really with this one?
I mean, look, it's not the same, I think. Like, I don't know, I don't look at things of peacetime or wartime or warlike. Like, when you're a medic, you're either doing a job or you're not. So being in the UN hospital and working in resus, it's still resus. It could have been East Timor, it could have been Afghanistan. It's the same environment where people are coming in pretty fucked up. So, we were in charge of any United Nations force, country, or anyone assigned to the UN, any local national, and then anyone else that was outside of the capability of Dili National Hospital. So, because at the beginning they're still trying to rebuild. They're overwhelmed by the amount of trauma and clinical stuff. So we would take them, towards the back end of that deployment, we would do less and less, because you've got to kind of give some faith back into the system that they're capable, because there was, for a while, if you went to the UN hospital, you would be fixed. If you went to Dili, you would die. That's the story that was getting around. So you've got to change that narrative as well, that, hey, Dili National Hospital is more than capable once they get their time, get their feet back on the ground. But, we had a lot of trauma stuff that came through, and, people macheted or run over, or, vehicle rollovers, mass casualties sort of circumstances. But,
Because I'm guessing, when you were deployed, that civil unrest is everything's turned to shit. That's why you guys are there to help. Because hospitals have been overrun, police, are non-existent, and there's rioting in the streets and the villages. So I can understand why you guys have to go over and provide that initial support, get them back on their feet, and then okay, now you're back on your feet. You can stand up, right, off you go. So I can see that. I can see. And so you do your 6 months, and then another rewarding deployment. You come back, and then in 2003, you complete your basic parachute course. And
I didn't even know where you were going there.
Yeah,
What notes have you got?
You do your basic parachute course, and you pass and get your wings, and you're attached as the resuscitation sergeant in the parachute surgical team.
Yeah.
What's this? Because people wouldn't know what this is.
Yeah, so it used to be a standalone unit, parachute surgical team, or 1PST. It was Holsworthy based, and I think as parachute capability was reduced, then it became a sub element of 1HSB. So it was an extra attachment. And so when 3 hour were going on exercise, major scale exercise, then the PST would deploy with them. So I was lucky to do a full parachute battalion group jump in 2003, where I don't know when the last time it was prior to that, but the word on the street, it was a long time that they'd had that many people airborne, and it was a very successful jump with very few casualties. So I couldn't wait to do it. It wasn't really in my scope. So it's a sub element unit. So and you need to grow people. We couldn't get any soldiers to volunteer to do it, and so as a sergeant, I was like, well, fuck it, I'll do it. Deep down, I was like, yeah, I want to do it, but I wasn't in the direct role, so I had to sort of go, I'll put my hand up. Yeah. And there was a couple of my peers on the course as well, and I think they got injured. So it wasn't supposed to be my primary job, but I couldn't wait to go.
So I've had a few 3RAR and SF guys on, and they often talk about their parachute course and that most of the time they're up there shitting themselves. Were you at that, or were you? And how hard was your course?
I don't want to say I wasn't scared. I just had other shit to deal with took a priority. I'm tiny. Yeah. I was smaller then. I'm quite retired and fat now, but I would have been 50, maybe 53 kilos if I was to think back. Yeah. I was strong and fit, but I was more worried about how the fuck am I going to stand up to hook on my static line because I've got all my, parachute gear on, and then my pack that I can barely pick up off the floor because it's like the length of my body nearly. And I don't want to let my peers down, or I don't want the boys to point a finger and go, why is that chick on this fucking sortie? And as the resus sergeant, I'm also right at the back. Second last out, the last sortie. My job is to sweep the DZ. So, I've got a long way to go before I even get to that door. Fear is not part of it. Wasn't where my mind was at. It was, don't fucking get too far away from the dude in front of you and jump when you get to the door. Jump out, or you're going to slap the side of it.
Right. And that, because I've spoken to a lot of the guys, and I say to them, jumping out of a perfectly good plane at 1,000 feet is not. It's not
but
my
when
idea
you're
of fun.
standing up there and you're hooked on and you're waiting and you're sweating and there's dudes spewing, you just want to get the fuck out. So it may be a perfectly good aeroplane, but you want to get out of that.
So you and that course, do you have to do a number of jumps to be presented your wings?
Again, I don't really take notice of how many. Maybe 6 or 7. It's a couple of clean fatigues, coupled with combat equipment.
You have to do a night jump as well?
Yeah, you do have to do a night jump. I found the training okay. I'm not very heavy, so to do the training in the risers, I'm strong enough for my body weight. It's kind of a double-edged sword. The bigger guys need more strength because they've got to pull more against the canopy, but I'm only little, so my relative strength, I think, was okay. So, I think my worst memory is so humiliating, but it was first combat equipment, and so I'm carrying my pack on my shoulder, and I get to the bottom of the ramp, and there's already a gap between me and the dude in front because my steps aren't, I'm in 3AA boots here, so I'm tiny little feet trying to keep up with the guy in front, and then I get to the back of the ramp and I couldn't physically lift my foot high enough because my knee kept hitting my reserve. I couldn't see either because my reserve is right in front of my face, and nothing's made for small women, let alone small men even. So I couldn't see the bottom of the ramp. I'm trying to feel my foot to get in, and Yeah, one of the PJIs just grabs, because they'd already asked me, do you want some help? Let me take your pack. Fuck off. No, I'm doing it myself.
Yep.
And then so he didn't even ask. He just grabbed my shoulders and picked me up with all my stuff and just puts me on the ramp and goes, fucking catch up. And it was like I don't know how much I weighed in it, but he was able to pick me up with all my equipment.
Yeah, right.
And I couldn't even lift my foot up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
that's the main memory that I take away from that.
So you get presented your wings. Very proud. I know a lot of guys are proud to get the parachute wings on their sleeve.
I don't even remember it being that big a presentation. I'm sure it was, but I don't remember that sort of moment. I think I remember the entry test, because a lot of my peers and the other medics failed, and so there was a lot of pressure. And I'd been around the battalions long enough. People knew who I was from Kapuka or Sub 1 Corporal. You know, there was my peer group were like, fucking hell, Aussie, you better not fail this. And it was like, fucking I've
got to get this done.
Yeah, I've got to do how many? I can't even remember how many heaves it was. Maybe 6 pull-ups.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Yeah, I was like, fuck. And it was pissing down rain, of course, so I'm heavier and wet. Yeah, they're the two things I remember, like how I could prevent being humiliated.
And that's down in Nowra, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Nowra.
You do the... it's near the... is it near Cerberus? Is it not Cerberus?
No.
Navy base?
Albatross.
Albatross,
HMAS
yeah.
Albatross.
It's near Albatross, yeah. And so you do that, and then when you're attached to the... did you have some serious injuries from when you were... After you'd got...
Honestly, it was... So it was Croc 03, and they were trying to trial splitting the resus and the surgical element to have the resus part, further forward with the troops.
Yep.
And it's like, yes, you can have that, and yes, we can do that, but we're not a self-sufficient unit. We're attached to a battalion, and we take our support from the battalion. So it proved, yes, you could do it, and it probably outlined where we should change the way medics are deployed, really, because this whole MASH hospital is not conducive, except every deployment we have starts with the MASH hospital, so it's kind of funny. But I think it highlighted where we need small capability bricks with a higher surgical or resus capability. So that's what it did highlight. But so my resus team, there was 5 of us, we got separated from the surgical element, put in... I think we were near B Company 3 and A Battery, and I was in the middle of nowhere, and I had my resus kit. But we weren't self-sufficient, so I would go up and do orders. We'd learn about what was happening in the war, but no one knew we were there. So, and then if someone was injured, to bring them to where we were, and it's all about the golden hour. Like, say we're close and the injury, they've still got to be medevac to us. We resuscitate them, and then they've got to take another helicopter to get to the surgical element.
Yeah,
so
right,
then,
a bit clunky.
Yeah, very clunky. And we said this, but people are making decisions of how we can do things better. Can we prove it? Yep, we'll do it. So then they would just skip us and take the casualty straight to the surgical team.
Yeah,
but then you've got surgeons who are Army Reserves all gowned up, ready for surgery. You can't just walk in there with a dirty dude. That's the whole point of resus, to stabilise, clean him, get him in a sterile environment to go into that surgical element. So, it was successful in, yes, you can do that. Yes, you need that. Don't ever split that capability because,
Well, it's similar to... whenever you run a decontamination, you got hot, warm, cold, and that
split them in half. See what happens.
That's right. Yeah. And then it literally, if you don't have it working where it's hot, warm, cold, it doesn't work. Yeah. Like, you sit there and go hot, cold. It's like, hang on, where's your decontamination? As you say.
And then, of course, end of the exercise, you're no longer attached to us, so you get your own way back. Me and my 4 other people with no vehicle and our stretcher and our resus kit. Yeah, it took me running down to the A Battery guys going, how are you guys getting out of here? Oh, we've got Chinooks coming in to get the guns. Can you pick us up too? Yeah.
Oh, that's
get all your shit. Get down here, and we'll get you on.
So was that changed, or did they leave it as it was?
Oh, look, I posted after that, so I don't even know.
Okay.
And the way that medics and the unit it's very different now. I don't even know what acronym they talk about, but I do believe it's still the same. capability bricks, and it's the skill set that you bring. But look, the reason I go to artillery is because the change of medical corps is coming, and I didn't want a part of that shit. So.
Well, we're actually going to, we're actually going to talk about, because I want to highlight this, because this is, you were going to skip over this, but I want to highlight this. So from 2004 to 2008, you held various instructor roles, with the highlight being, as you were appointed in 2005 as the drill sergeant at the Royal Military College Duntroon, and you were later promoted to Warrant Officer Class 2, and then you were posted as safety officer to the Special Forces Training Centre.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about Duntroon first, and then talk about the safety officer aspect, because I want to talk about that.
Yeah. Look, I went down to RMC because my time in clinical was over, so I'd get the instructor bug and be like, I want to go back and like, it was kind of, what's the next stepping stone? How can I, what's the next exciting thing? So there was an option to go down to Duntroon, and to be honest, like, there was many times where I would get junior lieutenants and they'd be like, what the fuck are they getting taught? Like, why do they come to me and they're just dumb decisions? Yeah. It's not because they were taught poorly, it's generally the adjutant would be setting them up for failure. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to go down there, see what they're taught, and try and make a difference. So I posted down. I think I was in second class as an instructor to start with for the first 6 months, and that was really cool. It was all around, MAP, and weirdly enough, I actually didn't mind that. I enjoyed it. I liked it. Again, minimal exposure except on promotion courses. So, dive in deep because I know I'm never doing it again. But I did like it. And, so that was my first 6 months. And then they had no female in the third class element. And being their first exposure, there was more priority because I think there was only three of us. I think there was 2 females, me and an officer. I could be wrong, but just trying to think back. Yeah, there was only 2 of us, and, it's wasted for a captain to go out to third class. So, I went out to third class, which is like the recruit equivalent. So first exposure.
So for the civilian, when you're talking third class,
it's the beginning. So it's like third class is the beginning, second class is the middle, first class cadet is the end. Right. And so it's their course that's divided into 3 parts, and through the parts that they are given cadet promotions, and they live as a company, or they live as a battalion in then 3 different companies, and they, after hours, kind of look after themselves in an like an infantry environment, similar, like the structure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so third classes, they've just come off the buses, they're out into the field at Majura, it's freezing fucking cold, and they're patrolling around, living, breathing, kind of like Kapuka for a 6-month period. Not the whole time outfield, but they do their first initial employment training, or can't even think what the acronym is, but their basic training out at Majura, and then it culminates with this march over the hill into the barracks after flogging themselves out there for weeks on end. So it's a big deal for them to come into Duntroon and get presented their lanyards and be part of the Corps of Staff Cadets.
And then go on and become officers and
Look, to be honest, I thought it was a great time. Like I there was a lot of instructors there that we were all at Kapuka together. So my peer groups were all sergeants. My subbies down there are now captains. So there was a lot of people that were driven for instructing, and we all knew each other. So we had this similar sort of mentality of you need to instill the best that you can give. It was very competitive. Like, if you weren't good instructor and you didn't know your shit, you were the weak link, and people treated you like that. And that's just in my job, but then you want to instill stuff to the staff cadets so that they can learn and build, and not just belittle them and humiliate them, but mentor and guide them. And so when I became a drillie, I was Capiong, the dirty rats, loved them. the OC of the company, he ran the cadets as such, but we wanted to change the acronym, you know, like how the narrative was that the OC drove everything. It's like, no, the OC and the sergeant, like it's a two-person partnership. So cadets could see you're not in isolation as a lieutenant. Yes, you make the decision, but you have this crusty old sergeant when you get to a battalion, you know, your unit, that you need to pull that information and that knowledge and skill from that cranky old person and put it into a current, you know, decision make. So that's what we wanted to show. And that was across all the companies, and it came from the CO then, that, you know, it's a partnership that the OC and the drilly drive the cadet company and they show them that that's a two-person thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and look, that's only my time there. I don't know if it was like that before or once upon a time, but I know when I got there, it was very much, you know, the sergeants did assessing and they didn't do any of the mentoring stuff thing. You know, it was just different. So it was trying to show that and promote that. And so the cool thing was, when I was a drilly, because I did that for 12 months, those same cadets that I picked up on the bus in third class are now in my graduating class.
Yeah,
so I saw them from day one, and then I saw them on the last day on the piss at whatever that dirty bar is they all go to. It'll come to me. But, yeah, so it was really cool to see them grow. And, you know, they were a great cohort. They were very competitive. You know, it showed the very first female to receive Sword of Honour. And so they were a competitive cohort group.
Yeah, right.
And there's a lot of serving guys still now, you know, full colonels, half colonels. So a successful long-term career. I don't know if the way we taught them at the time instilled that desire to serve longer, but I know when I saw them and I see them now, like, they're great people. They were great there as cadets, and they're great leaders now.
And you mentioned that bar. Is that the bar near the War Memorial? Is that one? The Ollams? Or?
Yeah, no, not Ollams. Mooseheads. So as staff, you would not be seen dead going to that dive. And to be honest, the cadets want to go there to let their hair down. They don't want to see staff there. But, you know, I did pin some pips on one of my cadets and help her graduate. She, you know, we had a close working relationship, and yeah, it was good to see that. And then they were like, "You need to come to Mooseheads, come," and I'm like, fuck. I remember getting changed out of my mess kit from the graduation dinner in the car park because one of my drilly peers had brought some civvy clothes for me to get changed in.
Yep.
I didn't know that whole glass window was mirrored and they could see me. And I was like, I don't know if they remember that, but I did go out and have a couple of drinks with them, and it was good because
it's good.
You know, they'd graduated, they were all lieutenants, and I was posted the next day anyway. So.
And you, as I highlighted too, you were promoted as well to Warrant Officer Class 2. Was that while you were down at Duntroon, or was that after?
No, I left. So I promoted at the end.
Right.
So I promote and then post out, and my new appointment was a Warrant Officer Class 2.
Yeah, right. And then this is where you actually go to the Special Forces Training Centre.
Yeah.
In 2008, that's where you...
No, earlier, 6, I think.
2006. Right. So you go there and you take on a role as the unit safety officer. What are you doing here?
Yeah, so like back then, there was a lot of, you know, there was negative narrative around, you know, the Commando Rio cycle was, you know, hurting people and breaking people and injuring people, and they were doing dumb stuff, and, you know, they created this, and not just there actually, it was across the army. How can we help prevent injuries that always seem to be preventable injuries? Like, how can we stop that? So they create this. It wasn't really a unit, it was just like a department called Army Safe, and it still now drives a lot of the campaign around workplace health and safety, and, you know, induction training is all driven around Army Safe. But at the time, they had this new unit, and my attachment was to Special Forces Training Centre in Singo, mainly because I wanted to go to Singo, because... yeah, I had a house up at Muswellbrook, so I just wanted to post there, and it was, you know, Safety Sue. It came into existence. To be honest, when I got there, it was a shit job. Like, who wants to do workplace health and safety crap? Like, sure, the title says safety officer, but that's what the job is. And so it was hard to try and take on a job and make a difference. And it was a piss job, like I hated it. Who wants to do that? I got referred to as Safety Sue. But what I saw quickly was, how can I show people how to do, they do great things already. But what they're not taught is how to write a risk assessment properly, how to identify, the risks associated with it, how to mitigate those risks, and how to put things in place that they can still train warfighters and do it safely and aggressively, but you don't have to do all the sometimes dumb stuff that just tips it over the edge. And so, I would, read their risk assessments, analyse them, look at things where they could do things better. I didn't want to change anything. I just wanted to help them implement things that protected them as well. And, there was probably a blessing in disguise. We had an entry test assessment, and there was a young kid nearly cooked himself. So he did the entry test. At the end of it, had heat exhaustion. I don't know what the actual diagnosis was because I wasn't in a medical role, but because we have medics there too. But they released this noticaz to the Comcare saying that he had a heat injury, and then it got withdrawn, and then it was released as dehydration, and so that triggered a please explain how you can go from that to that. And so I think Comcare saw it as, they're just trying to cover this shit up. But, at the time, we had instilled a lot of proofing and reading med docs and, questionnaires for the candidates. They'd have to declare injuries, illnesses, and there was a lot of stuff that we'd implemented to not cover their ass, but to make everyone do things properly. And unfortunately, this kid, I think he was from 3, didn't declare a chest infection, and so he'd started his run already, high temperature, and then, collapsed and near cooked himself, ended up in emergency at Singleton Hospital and was kept there for a little while. I assume he's made a full recovery, but Comcare came headhunting, and we went through his med docs and we showed everything. This is the questionnaire, this is what we do it at the 4:00 in the morning where it's the coolest part of the day. We did everything that we could to prevent that, and then it came out when they interviewed him, he had a chest infection. And
so it's good to see that you like the job going into...
Well, I think it just made everyone go, fuck, lucky we did all that. Okay, Sue, can you come on my section of the Rio cycle and have a look at what we're doing here? Can you come down and I wanted to go on the courses too, because how can I give anyone advice if I don't know what they're doing? So I went and attended the SF roping course, which I love abseiling anyway. So climbing up that Prusik, I couldn't wait to have a go at that. And it was really cool to see what they're doing and that the instructors are the best at what they're doing, but just could I help them to do things a little bit better or safer, or can we just manage our risks and have better documented procedures that we're looking after people? So I loved it. I went and did that roping not as a student, but I did a lot of, I jumped out of the windows, did a door in, when the students went around, or the candidates, I got to experience some of those activities, which I thought was really cool.
And that's for the civilian listener, you've seen it firsthand where, the job that you're in, and with the army, it's a dangerous job. Accidents happen.
Absolutely. You can't train for wartime and do piss training. The drills have to be near warlike to make it effective. So they do. At the time, they were also, and I had a little bit of involvement in the, when we changed from one old weapon training range into the new Luscombe building, because guys were getting lead exposure from shooting ammunition inside a building and it never getting cleaned, and so you brush against the wall and you're getting lead on your skin and then absorbing it. And so I was involved in some studies of lead analysis, and to wind it right back, we were screening and taking pre and posting blood assessments to see what the boys' blood levels were. Because if you're an instructor working in that range and you're exposed to that for days on end, and you wear that uniform home and you wash your clothes with your family, that lead is getting exposed to everyone. So, we then changed into like some simunition stuff, kind of like paintball, but more aggressive, and, introduced other things like that. So although, I had a safety role, there was more broader, holistic sort of assessment on how we could do things better how we could change. And, because that then goes into, why guys can't conceive, like why their wives aren't having children when you've got like crazy lead levels in your bloodstream.
Well, we've only got to look at it now with what's come out with the, the traumatic brain injuries now from the
I don't even want to
blasts
get into the
like
associated brain cancers. You can't say that. Like, I got goosebumps then. Thinking of a couple of guys that I worked with. You can't say that is not associated to their workplace.
100%. Yeah, and that's why I've been doing so many podcasts because I want to capture their stories before it's too late. Before they. And I know a really, he was a warrant officer of the regiment of 2 Commando who is now, he has got a TBI, and it's shocking to see, what has happened. But as you say, it has an effect because of the it's concussion of the brain. Like it's like the footballers. Yeah. They have the same thing.
Yeah, and look, it's sad because you can't change things when you don't know enough about it. It's like, how many footballers would now be looking at these HIA assessments? Why? I don't know. I've been out for a few years now. I don't know if we're doing those same HIA assessments with units that are involved in this sort of stuff. Because if we're not, then we're not looking after them at all.
No, that's... And you look at, when we're going to get to artillery in a minute... The guys from artillery as well, like the batteries and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And look, I know there are some rules that are in place, but when you're caught in a situation when you're understaffed, undermanned, if you don't do something, then it doesn't get done. You do push into those boundaries of, how many HE you fire when there's no one else to fire that javelin. So
that's right. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting field, which we won't go down, but it's going to be an interesting field moving forward for them to, especially the Army, to look at, and and moving forward with all these new injuries that are going to come forward, because there are going to be
like, I've been away from medical a long time now, so I don't know if I hope things have changed and the way they do business is different. You just don't know.
That's right. So you, as you said, you become Safety Sue, but not a really. You made it more interesting.
I just tried to do the best I could with the role that I had.
Yeah. So you do that, and then you in 2008. So you. No, continue. You go.
No, so how I get to? I assume you're going to say Brisbane.
Yes.
Yeah. So I actually I hate the job so much that I take long service leave and I go and work in the mines for a bit.
Oh, right.
Just to disengage my brain and don't make decisions. But I nearly cut my arm off with a chainsaw. So I had to come off long service leave and go on con leave because I needed to repair my arm. But at that point, my job at SFTC had been... I had to backfill my role before I could leave. And so I got someone to do that job so I could go on leave. And it was supposed to... I thought I was going to leave and work in the mines, but... Yeah, that shit's not great.
Yeah.
The money's good, the job sucks. So it was like, where am I going to post to? So I finally go up to Brisbane to the nemesis of the, non-deployable area. But obviously everything's changed and Brisbane's now the deployable area. So I go to 2 HSB, I think it was
That's
called
right,
then.
yep.
So, I post in as CSM in admin company.
And just bring that back for a minute. you nearly lose your arm to a chainsaw.
It-
I can see the scar.
Yes.
I'm seeing the scar. Like,
Yeah.
How close were you to?
Oh, look, it was a couple of mils off my ulnar nerve. But, I
Wow.
mean, yeah, that's another podcast just to
Yeah.
describe that situation.
Yeah.
But, it's a long-term... Like, we were building a jetty on our property and we'd split a lot of wood. We had all the safety gear on. Like, can't just have that job and not do it.
Yeah.
So we had, like, the chats and stuff
yep,
like
yep.
that.
Oh, no, I'm fiery.
Yeah, and so we'd built this deck over our dam, and it looked awesome, but there was one paling right at the end that had a lip on it. And so, yeah, I just went, oh, look, I'll just unscrew it, slide it out, I'll hold it down, and then, my partner at the time, you just trim off that lip. And then it kicked up, of course, as chainsaws do, because we'd gone through 8 chains at that time. Like, it was the Swiss cheese model.
Yep.
Like, all the things that could have gone wrong,
Went
we
wrong.
did it in the last 10 minutes we
Yep.
were there. We'd been
Always.
there all weekend.
Yeah,
but
always.
Yeah, so it kicks up, hits my jumper, pulls my arm into the chain, and then, hacks my arm. And, long story short, I did my own handover with the ambo and nailed the handover on the highway exactly to the moment. But, that's another story.
Yeah.
It's good now, full function.
Yeah,
so
I can see.
just a dirty scar.
Yeah,
That's gross.
but it's a war wound.
Yeah.
You can tell a story.
when I've had a few drinks, I turn it into all sorts of stories, but it's probably not appropriate to say
No.
in a recording.
No, that's that. But it just goes to show you how we're talking medical just before you transition to where you go into next. How quickly it can go from 0 to 100 and nearly losing a limb by just doing something that was.
Oh, it's always the way, Like, you do something right the whole day and you're tired, you're fatigued, you get lazy, you just think, oh, just do this little thing, bang, that's when it bites you.
And I know from when I worked with the RFS, you can see that.
Oh, yeah,
scar.
your little stumpy.
Yeah, my little stumpy scar that I went straight into a chain. Like, literally chain wasn't spinning. I grabbed the scrunch, didn't have my gloves on, silly. I'll admit that. Yep, and slipped. It gripped, bang, straight in. I passed out. Was because it literally the first day was the first day of my new crew member, and a tourist was there, and he goes, "He's cut his thumb off. He's cut his thumb off." And then I'd passed out, came to again, and then I said to my mate, "It's okay. My thumb is still here. It's still on. I've just got a superficial wound that is, and because it's your thumb." The blood was just going.
Oh, look, I couldn't really see the damage at the time, but I saw the blood running down my leg, and I knew this is bad. I actually had gloves on, and I still, I don't have it now, but I used to have the glove because I grabbed hold of my arm, took a knee, and then was like assessing the area and then giving directions. Go get the car, go get this, get the dogs, tie them up. Come back and pick me up, put me all while I'm still hanging on, didn't let go of my arm. Pick me up, put me in the car, put it on speakerphone, do the handover, talk it through. I still haven't let go. I marry up with the ambos, and I'm like, I've already assessed my fingers. I've got full, range of movement. It was pretty good. The pain had kind of subsided, and I was like, fuck, I think I've just wasted their time. Maybe it's just like a
superficial wound.
Wound, and the Amber was like, no, generally when you hit a chainsaw, it's bad.
You're not coming.
And so he's like, on 3, let go, and oh man, blood went everywhere still. And you could see, like, he's like, yeah, we can see your bone there.
Yeah, you've done a good job.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, and I was the same. And the biggest thing I hated was when I got to the hospital and they had to take the shard because I just sharpened the chain, ready to go and do the work, and all the file fragments, and then they had to clean it out. And I was like, oh, that was what hurt the most.
I had sawdust, and they'd scrubbed it with one of those little bedded, the little soft nail brushes, not knowing that my ulnar nerve was there. But fuck, I nearly went through the roof. I wanted to punch this lady, but it wasn't until I had surgery, came out, and the surgeon said you were millimetres off severing your ulnar nerve. So I'm like, oh, that's what the chick was scrubbing with the brush.
And that ulnar nerve is very important.
Yeah, he described what could have been. So I was very lucky.
Yeah, it's just as you say, and anyone out there, if you're tired, stop.
Yes. Yeah.
You can do it. You can always do it tomorrow.
Totally.
And that's the thing, going from 0 to 100 like that, and it can happen in an instant. When I was a safety, teacher, instructor for chainsaws, and it was I always said to the guys, and it's funny, you always see guys when they cut over the top of the saw, and it's like we teach them to cut, so you cut with
offset.
away on the offset, so that if it kicks back, it's kicking back over your shoulder, and it's not, because it's 0.3 of a second that you've got that'll go straight into and kickback has killed so many people, and so just out there, guys, just
chainsaws bite.
Yeah, chainsaws bite hard, and Sue knows, and so do I. So so lesson learnt. And so that happens. You go to you come back from the mines and go, that's not for me. You go into as you said, you post into the administrative side of things to HSB.
So, I think maybe 2008, I think it was. Yeah, I post up to there, and at that point, there was all this talk about shutting down RAPs, making these super clinic where civvies were going to take over. The whole structure of medics was changing, and I was like, I'm done. Like, because if you're not doing the job, then you're losing skills. So then we're, outsourcing to do clinical competencies in emergency departments in civvy hospital. Like, how much is that? I could just go on a rant right now at the impact, and as a woe, I made my voice heard of the long-term problems that this would happen. Just not writing in someone's notes. Like, as a medic, you would write the notes for every person you saw, and you write it a certain way, you capture certain stories. I don't even know what impact that has had now, where people are trying to claim and they've got no evidence because the civvy, not pointing the finger, but if the civvy nurse is not writing those notes that this injury happened at PT during work hours, I argued all these points at the time, and then long story short, that fell on deaf ears, and then this new unit was getting raised to build from a company to a full regiment at 20 Reg. And UAVs were this big new cool thing, and I ran into a couple of peers at the mess, and they were saying, hey, they're call transferring, you should come, we're trying to build the unit, we need people with rank. And so next thing, I put my call transfer in and was like, fuck it, I'm gone.
Yeah, and after 15 years in
medical, 15 years medics, and
you
jump ship.
You call time, and I've had in previous guest Carly Box on the podcast.
Oh yeah, Carly, yes.
Who you served with in UAVs?
UAV.
UAVs, and I want to highlight here too, because this is where you do become an unmanned
Uncrewed
aerial vehicle, UAV operator, and you actually what's your rank?
Oh yeah, I did. So I did demote. Yeah,
you demote from. That shows commitment. That shows commitment to step back from woe to back to a sergeant.
Yeah, I did.
So, talk me through your training, because I've spoken to Carly about her when she joined.
Yep.
What was that like for you, going from medical to then now doing this new capability?
Look, it was I won't sugarcoat it. It was a difficult time because I don't want to tread on anyone's toes, but it was a time where a trade was being diminished, a capability was being mothballed, and a new group of people were coming in, perceived to be taking people's jobs, creating new capability, and some people called it it's not going to be around for a long time, this is just a flash in the pan. But I always had the argument of, I'm not handing my rank in to not take this shit seriously. Give me some respect and shut the fuck up, because this is going to be a fucking thing. And if you're not capable because you're old and crusty and dumb as dog shit, that's not my fucking fault. Move aside and let us come in and drive the capability forward. So it was hard because, there was artillery warrant officers that are old school in their mindset and, speaking to me like I don't fucking know stuff. It's like, mate, I've served as long as you. Just because I don't know this, you don't know this either. But fuck, let's move forward. So I won't dwell on that, but it was shit to grow that. But, stepping aside, I did hand my rank in. I did take it very seriously, and like others did. I wasn't the only one. There was probably, I would say, a dozen seniors in their trade came into this other trade and gave it all up to start again. And so, I did all my courses back to back. So 2009, I think I did, and I'm talking, because I don't have a basic communication certificate, because medics didn't have to do that. I had to go and do BCCC as a warrant officer on an IET course. So I still had my crown until I fully qualified. So 2009, I'm at Pucker. I'm on this IET course. I'm learning how to operate a radio. Then I'm doing basic weapon systems, how to fire the 66 and GLA and whatever. And it's like, okay, because I don't have the paper that says I'm qualified in them, and I get it. But
some of the other people doing the course with you going,
I remember this.
What's a warrant officer doing?
So I remember this guy. I'm going to call it out. I'll just call him Gunner McDonald. Those that know him, God bless him, love him, lovely guy. I'm forced to go to the soldiers' mess as a warrant officer, and even at that point, I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. Like, what the fuck, really? So I go for this lunch. I'm told, no, you're on the IET course. You got to go down and have lunch with the rest of your peers. And the rest of my course, they're all IETs, and then there's me. And this young guy, Macca, he's like, oh, hi there. So what do I call you? I've never seen one of you before. I'm like, I don't even know how to take that. And he's like a female with a crown. I'm like, oh, that's ma'am. Oh, g'day, ma'am. Like, where are you from? I'm like, fuck me, what am I doing? But God bless him, love him. It was a funny moment. I didn't last too long down, and I did get taken up to the sergeant's mess, and not because I'm beyond it, but it's for those awkward situations. Like, the whole mess stopped because I was walking in and trying to eat with the soldiers, and they're all like, why the fuck is she in here? Like,
she's got a crown.
Yeah, no bombardier wants to see this crusty woe, eating. It's their place to eat. So it was awkward, but it was some trivial dumb shit that I had to suck up and play the game.
So you, because I had, as I said, I had Carly on, but you. Is there maths involved? What's the training? So to start with, we had to do basic meteorology and survey. That was the trade before UAV operator became a trade. So we had to go and do this survey and learn how to fly Met balloons, and that was the trade skill. At the same time, so I did all my courses up to sergeant at Pucker back to back. Then I came back to to Brisbane, did my Scan Eagle course. Then I went back to Pucker and did my Man Ops and a couple of other trade courses. And then I was on paper fully qualified. And then I was told, tomorrow, sorry, but you're a sergeant. Here's a sergeant epaulet. Put that on and put your crown in the drawer. And I was like, all right, sweet. And I have seen them where, I've seen the UVs go up and then they come back, and then it's caught by a big a big wire? And
so Scan Eagle is one capability, and it's owned by Boeing in situ, and a great capability. It's now the Australian Army's, or the big brother integrator is Australian Army's capability. So it's very highly sophisticated, has some great technology and systems on board, but it launches on a hydraulic catapult, and then it's recovered on a skyhook.
And it looks like it crashes.
Just a wingtip gets hooked up, and then it spirals in a crane to a degree, or the skyhook lowers to the ground and you retrieve it. And
it looks like, I've seen it, and it looks like it crashes, and you're like,
I guess it does when it kind of spirals around itself. But And some of them, there's plenty of handheld, Wasp or Puma that are designed to break apart on impact. It's like the 1980s cars that you used to smash into each other, and all the doors would fly off and you clip them all back on. It's very similar. The wings are designed to pop off and then you put them back on.
So that, we're not going to talk about the capability now because I don't want to break,
You can Google it all.
It's all. I mean, look at what they're doing in the war in Ukraine, and they're in Iran. They're dropping, bombs from drones now, and all this sort of stuff. Like the advancement has, it's gone.
Oh, I mean, like 2010, we had a capability with a laser pointer, and later in other systems on Shadow, there's a designator on there, and you can guide missiles with them, and we did.
Well, yeah, because we're going to talk about you actually deploy to in 2010. You actually deployed to Afghanistan, and are you providing the eyes for the guys on the ground, or talk me through this first deployment?
Yeah, so like a UAV deployment, as they were at the time, were attached to the greater. We're not assigned to MTF. We're a capability at a cooperative sort of level. So 2010, we're in support of anybody that needs us, whether that be Special Forces, Australian, US, whoever. We're just a capability. And so we would get bidded for the guys that were going out on patrol to have overwatch or support, and it gets put through a capability assessment of who gets us for a 12-hour shift. So we're running 12 on, 12 off for our entire time there, and we're just supporting whatever job we get. So I turn up on shift at 3 a.m. and read through my orders, start doing my preparation, and get the sorties in the air.
So you are over there, you're and if you see like when you're over there, if you saw something, did you then it'd go into intel and then okay, we've seen someone they're digging here, they're putting an IED in here, like needs to be marked.
So there's a full intelligence picture happening anywhere, and so you're just one asset providing that input to the intelligence picture. And so, my first trip for Scan Eagle in 2010, I was a mission commander, so I'd have 3 aircraft under my control at one time and 3 operators flying them, generally all on different tasks. Some were in direct support, some were in pattern of life studies and grabbing imagery to build a better intelligence picture. Some are on our, attached to our spoke, so we had a small footprint out at Duraywood supporting the operations in the Tangi Valley. But it just any day could be different. It was never really the same, and you're on task for a 12-hour period. If we were flying, this is just how I did business. I would when I'm doing my mission assessment, I would try and look at what significant footprints are on the way from A to B. So if I could see something significant on the way, we can pull up, do a couple of orbits, take some imagery, send it to HUMINT, and if there's, if it's a higher priority to do something, then we could assist in that. If not, it would just go back into the int picture and you just move on to mission. So there was times where we just randomly found shit just through, I don't want to say accident, but just through right place, right time. One of them was a big HME, a explosive ordnance sort of manufacturing compound, I guess you could say. And we just found that when you see movement in an area that there shouldn't be people moving around, it's very easy to see that, and then you just assess what the behaviour is. And they were loading stuff into the back of a vehicle, and then as you can lower the aircraft and get a better angle with the camera, you can see better things. And then it's a cooperative sort of activity. We then same time chat the HUMINT guys. They then put people on the ground to go and look, and so a UAV is never in Australia is not a single identification. It's always, needs a secondary confirmation for, a positive ID on something.
And why you was that an 8-month deployment, that one?
Oh, no, that was 6, the first one. So, I did 6 months over there. That was great. Then I went to the US for a couple of months and got trained on the Shadow 200 system.
Which we're going to talk about.
And
while you were over there in 2010, did we lose anyone while you were on the
like the day I got there, I think we lost 3 guys.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was probably the worst stint of time to be in Afghan, where we lost the majority of our own forces.
And that, because I've had so many guys on that talk about, the ramp service and for you experiencing, you know, like, and I say this with the utmost respect to like Timor and also Solomon Islands, the risk was a little bit lower than Afghanistan. We are losing people, like, you know, and that would have been confronting for you. First day, bang, we lose guys.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the expectation. You know what you're going to get into. Like, we all know where we're going and what's happening. I think you'd be naive to think you're not going to see shit from the moment you get there. Like, that's why we're going.
Yeah. And so being involved in those ramp services, were they, like, tough? Like, even, did you know some of the guys? Or
I didn't know. There's only one guy that I knew, and it was only through RMC, so I didn't know him personally. But I mean, if I could attend a ramp ceremony, I would. It's the only thing I could do to give and show some support. But a lot of the time, I was either working or sleeping. Yeah. Like, I didn't have, like, that there's luxury, nothing else to. Well, no, I don't want to call them a luxury, like opportunity or definitely, yeah. It was. I was working for 12 hours. And then I was sleeping and going to the gym. Because
I know, I was just about to say, I know a lot of the guys would say overseas on deployment there's really no, like, it's really a simple life. Like, a lot of them said we would, like, especially the SF boys, we'd go out, fight, come back, sleep, train, repeat. That was our job. That was, you know. So
I think that's for, like, most. I know for me, like, yeah, because mission commander, like, I've got to do all the assessment and read the notes and understand the, you know, significant picture of days before, locations. So I was reading stuff all the time. And, so when I clocked off from work, that I'm done, because you can't keep doing that day after day. So I'd finish work and I'm done with work. I would go back to my little air-conditioned shipping container and eat tin of tuna out of the can, because I worked 3 a.m. till 3 p.m, so most of the time I'd finish work. I'm not staying up to go to the mess. I would just, eat tuna in my room, go to the gym, train, come back to my room, drink, Vital Greens?
Yes.
Drink Vital Greens and go to sleep. Get up at 2 a.m. and do it all again. Yeah, occasionally do some washing and wash my hair out of a bottle of water.
And I'm guessing you would have been very fit and very...
I was pretty fit. I was super lean. Yeah, like real lean. There's only so many tins of tuna you can eat. Lucky I didn't turn into a cat.
Yeah. Well, you know, in 2026 now, people identify as cats. So.
Well, this is true, mate. So. Maybe I am, as long as I don't start scraping my bum on the floor.
So you come back from that first trip and you first taste being mission commander and you know being over there, and then, as you said, you go to the US and you do your shadow. So for the civilian listener, and obviously for me, I know infantry stuff, even though I've never been in the military, but talk us through the civilian of, okay, so you got the Scan Eagle and then you got the Shadow. What's the difference, Sue?
Nothing and everything. I mean, same range, same capability, but it was more an ownership. So for the Scan Eagle days, it was contracted. So we would have civilians, generally ex-military, but civilians were maintaining it from a maintenance capability. And so that comes with money and cost and resupply and stuff like that. And so the Australian Army gives up that contract to purchase Shadow. Shadow's a US Army capability. So we bought a system from them. And so then we're now owning it. So our aviation, Ramey aviation guys are now maintaining it. So we have a full footprint that's owned by the Australian Army. So that was the whole purpose. But we had to go to the US because we didn't have any skills in it. We go to the US, we get trained at their schoolhouse, and our live flying is basically, border security on the Arizona-Mexican border to look for illegal immigrants and stuff like that, like live flying for a purpose.
So essentially does it manoeuvre different to the Scan Eagle?
So it still has the same range. Don't get me wrong, it has small capabilities that are different. You know, it's wind. It's a bigger aircraft. It
I've seen them.
still
They're
takes
pretty
off on a
big.
hydraulic launcher, but you know, it's 5 times the size. It's very heavy. It's two people to load it on the launcher. It lands on a runway, and so we get the same distance, but it now carries a designator, so it can have an impact. And so you know, winds are a little bit better, icing conditions a little bit better, but generally,
But they're not armed, are they? They're not.
They don't carry an ordnance. So Army capability doesn't carry an ordnance
Right.
because pilots don't fly them.
Right.
Operators fly them, and operators are,
Yeah, right. So you do that training. You come back. So that training, is that sort of 2011?
Yeah, a couple of months in 2011, I come back, I go to Woomera, we do some, you know, laser sort of training down there. And then 2012, I'm back over in Afghan for another round of...
Yeah, and this is a little bit... Because you're on the...
very different role.
Yeah, you're on the Shadow now.
Yeah,
so
but
are you
I mean...
Are you still mission commander?
So still a mission commander, but it was one-on-one. So one mission commander to one aircraft.
Right.
You know, at that point, we'd written some doctrine, we'd analysed our capability, our rank structure, because, you know, in the early days, we were still building the unit to, you know, we didn't really know how to fill roles. We didn't have a lot of people, but, you know, 3 years later, we're now directly recruiting UAV operators, so people are, you know, we're building it. So it was no longer a need to have, you know, sergeants doing that. Bombardiers can be mission commanders, so we're, down, or pushing skills down, down the chain, basically.
So it's sort of relieving that pressure from...
Because, you know, like they're very capable, smart young guys that are driven for success. So they're, you know, more than capable to do this sort of stuff. And sergeants then take on a role of, you know, capability bricks, and we have shifts and crews, and, they're managed accordingly.
So you go over there. Is this another 6 month?
Oh, no, it's 9. So
9?
And it's 9 because we're we're also downsizing as a whole, you know, contingency Australia's withdrawing our capability, we're closing down patrol bases and removing our footprint. So I was the second last UAV detachment there, and so we just kind of extended a little bit just so that we knew when the end date was, and so when rotation 3 of Shadow came in, they were it.
Yeah, okay.
That was it.
And do you get Rockall on that one?
Yeah, he's still one Rockall.
Where did you go away?
Where did
in
I
Europe,
go?
Or?
No, I think I went to Vietnam.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. God, it's a blur. Yeah, I think I go to Vietnam, which,
okay.
you know, I didn't look into that, and that was a fuck place to try and get to, because it was like, a flight to Doha, and then a Doha to Singapore, maybe. Yeah. I did not look at the flights before I booked that. It was horrible.
It was just, I'll go there and just
I
something different.
wanted to be pampered and not spend a fortune, basically. So I thought, you know, Asia would be pretty cool.
Logistically, no.
I should have went to Europe. I don't know why I chose Vietnam.
Just a stone throw away.
I know, it was dumb. Dumb decision.
Well, I mean, we're going to get into what you do now, and you get to see Europe a lot now. So
a little bit.
We'll get into that a little bit later. But so you come back, and then in 2013, so as you said, you alluded to that we're pulling our footprint out and we would eventually pull out in 2013. That would be, so the footprint is reducing. So the deployments were very different from 2010 to 2012, and then in 2013, you love your instructors, because you actually go to the sergeant's training team at the Warrant Officer and Non-Commissioned Officer Academy at Canungra.
Yeah.
What were you doing here?
So it's the promotion course for sergeant, like all-corps sergeant role there. So, I post into there, and we start introducing UAV capability in, you know, small-scale operations for, you know, sergeants to start doing MAP and,
So that was that good to go in that sort of role?
Well, I mean, like, someone has to start teaching this doctrinally how we employ them, or, people have a perception of what we're there doing and how we do it. So it was more to try and introduce some doctrine into, you know, terminology and what pattern of life looks like, what Overwatch looks like, why we do it, where we do it, how we do it.
And is that posting for 3 years? Or is that
that was a 3-year posting. So I post in beginning of 2013, but I'm still deployed. So there's a guy that goes down, he just fills the gap there for 4 months. And so I come back, do my decompression stuff, and then I post straight in mid-2013. And then I'm 14, 15 there.
And then in 2016, you returned to 20 Reg, and you promoted back to
I got the crown back.
So just pull it out of the desk or out of the drawer? Or?
I did, actually. 100%, I did. Yep.
Don't need to, just...
No, it was very faded compared to the rest of my cams. Yeah.
So that would have been rewarding too, and I actually want to say this, that you, because I know you're very humble and you won't talk about this, but I will, that you were so you promote back to Warrant Officer Class 2, the highest ranking other rank position held by a woman in the Royal Australian Artillery.
Where do you dig this stuff?
Oh, you sent it to me in your bio. So what was that like? That you as you said, you'd core transferred, and now you're back. You reduced rank, and then now you're the high. What was that feeling like to?
Look, it was definitely rewarding. Like, I think, like being a warrant officer, you were treated differently. Like, I don't know how it. I can't put my finger on it, but there's a level, and again, it's just perception. Like when I demoted from warrant officer to sergeant, it was like my voice was worth nothing the next day, and it's like, hang on a minute, I was like guiding you yesterday, and now you don't give a fuck what I have to say. It was very similar. When I promoted back to warrant officer, the way I was perceived was different. My knowledge was the same. I was still the same person. It is. I think it just, it shows a level of, experience, maturity, capability, all in one. Yeah.
And that's what I want to highlight too, to young people as well, is that for you to reduce that rank, because some people get attached to their rank, and I'm not saying you, but I'm saying others that
it's an identity, isn't it? It's whether you're leaving a job, a rank, a role, leaving the service. It's your identity. It's what you know. It's how you're treated. It's how you're, it's your identity at the time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then for you to, as you say, it's strange, isn't it? Like one day you're a sergeant and your voice, we don't. But then the next day, you've...
I don't even remember, I can't even remember if I got promoted on a parade or anything, because I know I definitely didn't get demoted in a big deal, because who wants to have a big deal of being demoted?
Of course.
But I have a funny story, though.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, fire away.
My best mate, Crowie, and everyone knows that we're good mates. I was down the sergeant's mess and we were talking, and someone says to me at morning tea, hey, Sue, what the fuck? Did you get demoted? Yeah. And they're like, what happened? And I'm like, I punched my boss. He was just giving me the shits. And they're like, what? Who? And I'm like, Captain Crow. And they're like, no way. And then I just, tongue-in-cheek, just go off, get my coffee, come back, and there's whispers of, fucking hell, she probably did. And then I didn't think anything of it. And then a few weeks later, he's my BK, and we're deploying, and he's like, oi, what the fuck did you say to people down the mess? I'm like, sorry? He's like, I just heard someone at the officers' mess say, did, Warrant Officer Osborn punch you in the face? And I was like, well, I kind of did, but I didn't mean it. Yeah. So, well, what do you fucking... It was quite funny. But it's like, the Chinese whispers of people go back to their unit, tell their peers, their boss, then it makes this, circle, and then he's into me.
The old digger-net?
Yeah, 100%. But I didn't expect that to happen, but lucky he can take a joke.
Others might have gone, you're up on a charge.
Honestly, I think it was more his character that said he needed a punch.
So you get back to warrant officer, and proud moment to get back to there. And then you actually, during this time, you become a mum. And
I do.
How has becoming a mum changed you?
Yeah, definitely. So someone said to me, I went from blue steel to blue cheese, and just this soggy nothing. she's my everything. So yeah, like we did IVF. My partner, same-sex relationship. We took a long time. I went down to Canungra to take myself out of the unit so I could focus on that. That was deliberate. Like I wanted a break from deploying, but I also wanted time to do IVF and have a child. And yeah, so I came back pregnant. It was kind of another funny story because in artillery, no one had been pregnant before, so it was like, we might need to do some maternity policy here. So, that was another positive that came from it. Yeah, I did come back pregnant, and there was a bit of a, how do we put this footprint together? How do we make that happen? And how do I set the standard for other women to be treated the same way? Because I did get looked after. I did, provide some capability. We reverse cycled time so that, I didn't have to work normal hours. I worked reverse hours, and we did, instructor, like I would be in the simulator with the guys after hours. So yeah, there was some capability there, but it did show that, we do have, things to offer. It doesn't mean having a child is the end of your career. There's always something you can do. And, I think that goes to say a lot for the unit, where it came from, trying to get a capability and designing a unit. So everything is very flexible to, do the best thing for everybody, and our people are our biggest asset. So, so having a child, fantastic. Best thing.
And I guess for you, because your daughter is older now.
She's 10.
She's 10. And for you, like, I'm an uncle, I don't have kids, but every veteran or first responder or anyone that I ever speak to about kids changes your whole perspective on life.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's... For you, did you feel that all the little things that you used to worry about are insignificant when you've got...
I would have volunteered at the drop of the hat. So I had to stop and think. There was more people involved now. There's other... I can't just go bush because, she's part of the reason that started my transition out, because she would just see uniform, mummy with a bag, mummy's not coming home now. So, yeah, that was hard for her because she's on, she was 2 or 3 at the beginning when I go back to the unit and I'm going out on exercise again. So, yeah, she didn't like that. And so it is hard. And, I think it's hard for any parent to have to leave their children when they're young for long periods of time. It's a hard thing to do.
You see it all the time with sacrifice of, like both parents or, as you mentioned, the mines or oil and gas or they're on the road, they've got to travel internationally, or it is hard on the families.
Yeah, yeah.
And military and first responder is even harder.
Yeah, I think it's a hard battle between being you've got to make a wage, you've got to provide an income. The income comes with a cost. Like it's how life is. It's
It's not easy. That's
it's like anyone that becomes a parent. Your perspective just changes, and there's other people that influence your decision.
And you mentioned like sacrifice, like watching the kids at soccer, or like because you got to work. And it is.
Look,
hard.
I was really lucky. I think by the time I leave, she's probably 3 or 4. So she didn't really see the full brunt of it. And, let's be honest, I had a child very late in life. So, I had my career. So I don't feel that I've missed out on anything. I don't feel that I've taken anything away from her. It was a time where, she was understanding where I was going and what I was doing. She didn't like it, and I didn't like seeing it. So, that's the beginning of my end.
Well, we're gonna talk about that because you, during this time before your discharge, I want to go back to, you actually were the first female battery guide and participant in the Anzac Exchange with the New Zealand Defence Force, and advising on UAV capabilities and operations. Talk me through this. What were you doing? Were you deployed over there?
It was so Anzac Exchange. So, like we said, deployments have dried up, and you've still got to keep people interested and fulfilled in their jobs. And an opportunity came up where I was offered to go to New Zealand for Anzac Exchange, and it was really to work in their Army headquarters and help them guide and write their concept development and employment of UAS. They're their entire defence force is like one of our barracks. And we're, like Gallipoli barracks. They have one artillery unit, one armoured unit, one infantry unit. So, when you're trying to shape capability, we're small. And I thought we only have one UAV unit, but they have an artillery regiment that does everything. It does their air defence, it does their, guns, it does their, propelled guns, and then it also does their UAS. So,
and I've heard that, like, from some of the... I'm actually in talks at the moment with a New Zealand veteran to come on, and he's like, you Aussies get paid way better than what we do. Like,
Look, I was in Army headquarters, so I wasn't about to ask them what they got paid there, but I think, they're very skilled and versatile people.
For
and
how small of a country
Yeah,
it
and
is.
they do a lot with a small footprint.
And how long were you exchanged for?
I think maybe 4 months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good. Like Army headquarters was awesome. It was funny, like the first person besides the officer that was hosting me, the first person I see is this guy, Clive Douglas. So he's a drill wing sergeant major down at Duntroon when I'm there. And he's the only person I know in New Zealand. And so I sent him a text going, hey, Dougie, I'm coming over to New Zealand in Army headquarters. And he's like, oh, yeah, come down to my office, say g'day. And I was like, yeah, no worries. So I go into headquarters and I'm like, oh, where's Clive Douglas? And they're like, sorry? I'm like, Clive Douglas? And they're like, he's the RSM of the Army here. And I'm like, oh, right. Oh, shit. Oh, where's Sir? So I walked down to his office and I was like, g'day, Sir. And he's like, hey, come over here and give me a hug. And I was just like, I didn't know you were the RSMA. And he's like, oh, yeah,
I should have told you that.
It didn't even occur to me because it was, it was Dougie. It was good. He's a great bloke.
Yeah, right.
So it was awesome. So, yeah, it was good to talk to him. And, he then involved me in a couple of, like, leadership sort of activities and talked on their RSM course and their warrant officer course and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
I very quickly went up to Wairuru. They had the Marines there attached to their artillery unit and they were doing some, calling in of offensive support there, so it was good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, really cool.
So you come back from that exchange and then in 2020, this is where you start to look at options. You take extended leave and explore the civilian world and what it has to offer because, as I say, at this point, you joined in 1993. 2020, it's a long time.
I'm broken.
Yeah, only knowing
Yes.
what's injury-wise.
Very broken.
Yeah, very broken. And what did you do? What did you look at in this?
Yeah, so I applied for a couple of jobs. So there was a RPAS inspector with CASA, like our Civilian Aviation Safety Authority.
Yep.
So I applied for a job there. There was already a couple of the bombardiers that had already gone and are still serving at CASA. And then there was a job with Elbit, which is a Israeli company that does like battle management system, and Elbit were based in Canungra, so it was close to home. And yeah, so I had 2 jobs to go to, and just before COVID, so I took the one that was close to home because I didn't want to commute anymore and started working on the all-call captain's course and teaching how to do MAP in BMS, so how to use the tutes and overlays within the electronic system to deliver orders and stuff and then send those orders over the BMS.
All right, and then you do that and then...
Where does it all go wrong?
Well, yeah, so you're doing that and then you just, in 2021, you, after 27 and a half years, that's right? 27 and a half? 27 and a half years, it's all you've known. Had you had enough? Like you go,
no,
I don't want to go back?
Like, to be honest, I really enjoyed the job. I enjoyed the instructional job. I liked the hours, the guys I worked with. Like, it was awesome. It was close to home. And so I went to transfer to Army Reserve because I still wanted to do some UAS stuff. I still wanted to be capability. I was one of very few, like I think there's 5 flying instructors, so I still wanted to give back, and as a reservist I could have done that after hours simulator sort of role, which I still wanted to do. So I went to transfer to reserves, and the same GP that helped me through the IVF and all the injuries that I had, he said to me, Sue, I can't make you fit for reserves. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I didn't see that coming. I didn't expect that. And he did say to me that this will be a blessing in disguise. You might hate me right now, but you will thank me in the long term, but you are not fit. You should not be serving. And I know that. I knew that. Like, you know, I know I would go and do PESA on a Thursday or even a BFA on Thursday because it would fuck me up so bad that I'd need Friday, Saturday, Sunday to recover so I could come back to work Monday.
Wow.
It was, like, you know, you gain injuries. And for UAS, we follow the same aviation medical protocols. So, you know, if I'm taking painkillers or anti-inflammatories, that affects my I'm not fit to fly. And so I either don't take those or I talk to the GP, and we have an aviation medical officer, and if I get downgraded, then the unit loses the capability. So if I'm not fit to fly, then we don't have a capability. So it was, I don't want to say it was a hidden secret. Like, my bosses knew that I was broken. And they, you know, I'd communicated with them. I didn't want to not perform, but I also didn't want to have to do all the bullshit stuff all the time. Like, I couldn't do it. And so, you know, once I did my time as BG, which is kind of the pinnacle, well, you know, there's obviously BSM, but BG is the head technical role. I then slid into ops because I didn't have to be doing all the, you know, groundwork and setting up the detachments. I could sit back in ops and drive it. But it was, I think everyone knew I was broken. I was too fucking stubborn. Like, that's why I was broken. I was too stubborn to not pull my weight, but it came as a toll, and it all came crashing down when I was at Canungra and got downgraded immediately, like J33, straight bang, gone.
And it definitely did, because we're going to talk about some of the injuries that you've since had operations on.
Yeah.
You know, like your body just absolutely gave. And I'll ask this now, and then we'll get to your transition in a minute. But now that you've
processed it,
100%. Was that Dr. Right?
Yes. Absolutely.
But at the time, no.
Blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Like, you serve so long that you get institutionalised and you don't know your worth, because, let's face it, a sergeant knows X amount, a warrant officer knows X amount. You change rank in between those and you know the same stuff, but no one gives a shit. I learnt my worth very quickly when I left. And, you know, my first job as a civvy consultant was back to my old CO in UAS future capability development. Like, you know, as in defence industry as a consultant, getting paid way more than what I ever did in defence.
Yeah.
Not saying that, you know, that's the pathway for people, but I mean, you just think that is your life, that's your identity. And don't get me wrong, I struggled for 18 months. It was not easy, but you can get through it if you take the right paths and use the system and the services that are available and find your worth again. And
in that 18 months, because I've you know, as I said, I've had so many veterans and first responders on who struggle. I think it's every podcast struggle with that transition, because that, as you're saying, you live and breathe that identity of who you are.
Yeah.
Did you, like, as you said, you're a mum, you're a wife, like, you're like, are you just getting by day to day? Is it, or did you ever get where I'm going with this? Did it ever get dark for you, or was it
as in the transition or the injuries?
No, or both. Like,
I mean,
transition?
Not to the degree that some people have faced. Like, I mean, there was times where I just didn't know what I was going to do, and I was, you know, very emotional of it. I was hot and cold. I didn't know what I would be doing. I wanted to work. I didn't want to be caught in my own thoughts, sitting there doing nothing. I still had life to give. Like, I was in my 40s. Like, I still had shit to do. Like, it wasn't over. It was half my life. But I also needed to give myself time to transition and take the time out. And so, you know, when you do get medically discharged, you get a period of time, weeks, it's a bloody long time, of paid leave to use that to get your head around it and transition. And generally most people are either I was on I had some significant lower limb injuries, and I needed that time to get shit fixed because, one thing I did learn as a medic is any surgery you have while you're serving, you never do the rehab. You never get the time to do the rehab, and it's always bad. And so I put everything off. I was a medic. I saw what was going to happen. Yeah. So I put it all off. And so all of my injuries culminated. Like, I couldn't walk. But I couldn't walk because I'd finally stopped. Prior to that, just keep moving. It's not going to be there. Don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So I think that was the big eye-opener, and I think that's what catches us all out, because you finally stop. Physically stop, mentally stop, and, as a person, you stop, you're stationary, and it's like, oh, what? I never saw those flowers in my garden before. Where the fuck did they come from?
Yeah, we're not supposed to. We're supposed to always keep moving. And
Yeah. So it was that. It's, one, I've now lost my job. I'm going to be nothing. I am nobody. I've got these injuries. I'm never going to get past it. Life's fucked. This is fucked. Don't know how I'm going to pay. So many negatives, and you just got to. I saw a counsellor and she helped me unpack it all and stage it. And, we got to a point of, okay, you don't need to make all those decisions now. Let's just start in the now. What can you control? What can we look at down the future? And so it took some time, but, I had to, one, lay all my injuries on the table so that I got looked after, and then two, when I went to the counsellor, lay it all on the table so that we can pull it all out to then fix it all and put it all back in.
And I think too, you got to look at it. 27 and a half years, that's all you've known.
Oh, I left from school.
That's right.
So I think I had a little gap year, I joined in September, so I had 9 months of gap year and worked as a lifeguard, had a great time, And
then it's all just military from that point on.
Yeah.
That is...
And I never wanted to leave. I was just dabbling in being a civvy on long service leave. And, I had a lot of leave, so... And I think juggling the commute from the Gold Coast to Brisbane, injuries, time, it was just time. I just needed a break. I core transferred and I didn't stop for 4 years. Then I had a child and then I would jump back all into it again. So I needed a break, but I didn't know what was going to come with that break.
And I think too, I recently had this discussion with a couple of SAS previous guests on the podcast. And they are now in that transitional space for veterans, and they're trying, they've got equestrian programs. For with horse therapy and the way they spoke about transition, and they actually said it that you're not actually leaving with no purpose, no skills. You are still the same person. And all the knowledge that you have, you take that into you just got to reframe it to look at it from you take that into the civilian world, and whoever gets you, from a corporate,
we have a lot of capability.
100%,
like I said, I didn't know my worth. Now, oh my God,
and that's,
wind the clock back 5 years.
That's right. Yeah. That's what I mean. You've got so much and skills that employers want. That are, but. It's that thing of transition, and especially for first responders, it's, a police officer, broke up fights. Well, no, you've got conflict resolution skills, reframing it so that you can go into
Yeah, I think the only thing that I found difficult was the isolation during the transition process. I'd left 20 Reg, so they don't have to reach back to me and make sure I'm okay. It would have been nice, but, it is what it is. So I'm down at Canungra, I'm working in a civvy job. The army side of things, they don't know who I am. They don't know what I've done. It was only really the GP that knew anything, but it was the way I was treated by that transition group and the people that are in that. I think, if I was to say what could be fixed, the way that we transition people needs to be fucking addressed, because people just are not a number and they shouldn't be treated like a number. And, there's so many things that we could do better to make that path softer, because And I'm sure there's different, like, had I been at 20 Reg, it might have been totally different. But I wasn't, and no one gave a fuck. That's how I felt.
And that, I'm glad you highlighted that, because defence, and I will say this, and hand on heart, I can absolutely say this with my hand on heart, they're great at turning you into soldiers, airmen, sailors. They're pretty shit at turning, transitioning out to
like
a civilian
maybe it's
again.
not their job, but something that gap has a big long-term effect, because that's kind of that's when you're most vulnerable, and it's where you're unpacking everything, and shit just comes out. You don't even know where
100%.
it's been hidden.
Well, not even like getting a Medicare card. It's like, I've got to get a Medicare card.
So I didn't even know what Centrelink was. I remember, actually, I do, because I walked in when I was pregnant because I needed to do like some child support something, and I didn't even know. It was like a ticket that you had to pull, like when you go to the transport. I just stood there looking around going, what the fuck? I'm like, where are all the people? Where's the desk that I go to talk to someone? No, take a number and log on. No, it's like, I'm done with this shit. Yeah.
And how important, because is your partner, is she defence?
No,
I
don't.
So she is civilian. How important was her support through guiding you and navigating you through transition into that?
I would say there's probably times where she just didn't know. Like, how do you talk to someone that one doesn't want to be spoken to either? Like, I'm still that same stubborn person. I don't need her help. She can't fix anything. I need, you just got to find your own way. But it's hard. You surround yourself with people that not know where you've come from, but I very quickly learnt who my true friends were, and a veteran girlfriend group that I have, and that they'd all transitioned. They were priceless. I can't put words into how much they helped me get through that part, and I don't even think they knew they were doing it, but for me it made a big difference, because they lived it, breathed it, and they were very successful in civvy life. And if I can offer that back to other people, I would in a heartbeat.
And that's great. Would you say for anyone who is at that, like for you, it came as that shock of bang, you downgraded straight away.
Yeah.
But anyone who is contemplating now getting out, would you say to them, have a plan before you, so that it makes it easier for that transition?
Yeah, like, it's just a difficult situation, because generally speaking, when you announce you're going to discharge, the service is moving forward with a reason and a purpose, and you no longer fit that. So, of course, the first shock is when they cut you away and you no longer are providing a capability because you've made that choice. That narrative has to change, I think. Within units, and like I said, I've been out for 5 years, it may have got better. I think the way we transition people, whether they choose or whether they are medically separated, it happens that there's got to be a gap there where, you can go and do so many transition seminars. They scrape the surface of the bullshit. Like, honestly, none of that is beneficial. There needs to be somewhere that you go, like a holding cell. That's not where everyone whinges and bitches about the negative. It's got to be an educational piece where it could be ex-service people, and it could be a manpower capability. I could probably trademark this now, but like it should be a department in barracks that maybe it is ex-service people, that we talk our situation through, like just establishing things like Medicare and doing your tax properly and learning skills and
writing a resume.
Sure, there's all that capability, but it's all done in isolation. It could become, I've got my discharge, say I'm voluntary discharging and I've got 6 months. Well, give me some time to do that while I'm getting paid, not, you can fucking do that on your first day as a civvy, fuck off. That mindset has to change, and transition people of, get all your resume sorted, and what skills can we still upgrade you in? Like, there's still all the same capability is there. It just isn't forthcoming. It's we could unpack the DVA thing. No one knows that system.
Except DVA.
Yeah, like...
and they make it harder for you.
But even that piece, like, I didn't have a bad situation there because, one, I laid it all out with the GP.
Documented.
Also, I was a medic, so I made sure my notes were all there. I don't know what people are facing now that uniformed medics are not writing those notes, but I had all that. So, and I had all my separating conditions documented. I then found a good GP that knew defence. Obviously, I'm in Canungra, so that helped. So that was already good stepping stones. We then reduced, I couldn't cope with the in-cap straight off. I did it for maybe 12 weeks and I nearly went nuts. But I went back to my GP that we had a rapport, I had a rapport with him and said, I can't not work. I need something. I know I was on the waiting list to get my knee replaced, but I just could not cope with nothing because no one else has got 12 weeks or however, it's a fucking long time, but no one else has got all those days to go surfing and, it wears out real quickly. It's great for a beginning and then... Yeah, you're by yourself. I couldn't cope with it. I just needed a few hours a week, just purpose. I only work part-time now. Like, I've never gone back in a full-time role. I've just been part-time and it's enough. Yeah.
So you discharge and then in 2021, in the year of your discharge, you joined Merigan?
Merigan, yeah.
Merigan
is a robotic and autonomous system consulting company.
Is that where you got purpose again? Because you...
Yeah, absolutely. Merigan is owned and operated by a guy, Rob Sutton, who was a Ramey aviation officer at 20 Reg. So he created his own consulting company and so it was veteran-owned, veteran-operated, working back to defence industry. So, yeah, it was perfect for me to transition and start, building my... confidence back in civilian life.
And then, so you do that for a time, and then what are you doing currently? Because now you're...
How did that come about?
So now you're currently flying drones, doing light shows and doing some pretty cool stuff with drones. How did that come about? Yeah,
so it's a bit of a story. I was at Merigan Consulting, and I'll try and make it real quick. Intel, the computer company, had a drone light show field. They were coming to Australia. There was a big announcement. They were going to do this new event with a drone light show. First one in Australia. It was part of Elevate Sydney, a music festival to bring people back into the city and invigorate spending after COVID. That was the whole point of it. And so who they'd engaged to do that regulatory framework, CASA denied their application for whatever reason. And then somehow they called Merigan, spoke to my boss Rob, and Rob's like, yeah, Sue can do that. So he rings me and he's like, oh, Sue, what are the chances you could get a permit to fly a drone light show in Sydney Harbour, 500 drones, just like in Circular Quay in about 5 weeks' time? And I was like, what? I'm like, I don't even know how to begin that. He goes, yeah, I don't think there is. And so, long story short, as I said before, a few of my bombardiers are in CASA as inspectors. They'd got it from their side because the New South Wales Premier is talking about this drone light show. They're going, I don't think so. And so, I reached out to a mate within CASA and together we read through the regulatory requirements and I'd kind of created a safety case like we do at 20 Reg and airspace control plan and a risk assessment and a safety case. And that then started how now you do drone light shows. So together we just kind of, talk through the risks. And there was a lot of risks involved in that. And
500 drones,
pulled off the first drone light show in Australia. And, I've now been doing that ever since. So first one was, Jan 22 and,
So it's a bit different to Vivid, isn't it? Like you...
Vivid is a light show event and they have a drone light show as part of that. It's not just Vivid though. Yeah. There's plenty of events.
I saw some of the work that you've done in Europe and it's pretty cool what you do.
So I'm really lucky. I work for a company called Nova Sky Stories. They bought the drone light show piece off Intel. They also bought the entire engineering capability and the design work. So the guy that first designed it, I think, if I'm right, 2006-ish, he still works for the company. He's still building the software, hardware, designing it, making it better. We're transitioning into pyro drones shortly, and it's that capability that we live, breathe. All of us live, breathe, doing drone light shows, like from all the way through. Like,
and with that, like you talk about when you're doing a light show, are you like the overall supervisor and you've got 500, like you just mentioned, 500 people? Are they all...
No.
No?
It's not 500 people. It's all computer-based. So it's a animation file that gets uploaded to the drones.
Yep.
And so the drones are on pre-programmed flight paths. They know where they're going to go, how they're going to get there, how long they're going to be, what colour they're going to be, and where they're going next. And then they know how long they're going to be there, and they know how they're coming home. And the system is really smart because it goes through some phases. The launch, the flight, and the landing are all different phases, and the system analyses through uplink and downlink of talking to the drones to understand where they're at in their battery, their GPS. There's a lot that goes into it, but it is simple and controlled environment.
So you thrive on that pressure?
Love it.
Yeah.
I mean,
because there's a lot of pressure.
It was pressure at the beginning. Now the only pressure is the bloody wind.
Okay.
Like we do big events, big footprint. So we also have a tour right now in Australia, the Fever by Candlelight. So we do a drone light show as part of that, and we have the Vivaldi Four Seasons string quartet playing, and then the drone show supplements that. And it's a beautiful story and beautiful show. And
are you doing, like, now with this drone capability that, like, all the light shows and everything, are you working with celebrities and things for their shows?
I mean, like Nova has done shows for Paul McCartney, FIFA World Cup.
Yep.
We just, like, last year we did the big show over the Vatican,
that
first of its kind.
amazing.
And, that was, again, a music festival with, a lot of celebrities involved in that. But... it's not really the celebrity or the accolade. It's how we can tell a story and paint a picture in the sky, because it's immersive. Like we've done a lot of shows in Australia around Indigenous culture, and there's a fantastic show that's coming up to its 1,000th show this year at Uluru that talks about First Nations story of the land and how it was formed and the spirits around Uluru and why it's sacred. And you can watch it in a drone show because, like you can read things, hear things, but when you see it and you listen to the story, you form your own opinion. It's immersive storytelling.
Yeah, that's really cool. What you get, and as I said, now you get to, you were wishing that you didn't pick, Vietnam for the. Now you get to go to Europe and like from the photos that I saw of the Vatican show, it looked amazing. Like hats off to you and your team. Like it looked amazing.
Look, it's incredible, but that doesn't come without risk. Like that was 18 months in the making. That was it come off the back of a show we did in Cannes in France in a festival, and the producer of the Vatican show saw it and went, who does this? Who is the owner of that? I want to talk to the CEO, and the CEO is Kimball Musk, and he grabbed him and said, how can we use this platform to tell a story and bring people together for peace? There's so much negativity in the world now. How do we bring joy back? And they talked it through, and I'm a very small piece of that puzzle. I was secondary pilot. We have a full production team. Our animation, our creative designers, they are the pinnacle. I call Aga the original animator the magician, because what he can do in the sky is incredible, and a lot of that Vatican work is his and his design team. They bring to life that. That's
so. Have you got now? You've just come back from Europe, and you've been in the States as well. I travel often. I travel when I need to for the role. We have a huge footprint in the US, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Europe. We just rolled out this weekend in Brazil. So look, the company is. We really focus on large scale risk
shows. Not, anyone can put logos in the sky and announce the latest car. That's not what we do. And, I think there's great things that do that. That's not what Nova does. We tell a story and, we have big... our creative is our strength and we want to tell a story.
So have you got a lot of shows coming up this year in Oz?
We're always churning out shows. So like I said, we've got the Fever by Candlelight that's touring this year, and we have shows booked in Perth, Brisbane, Sydney. But, we also just come off the back of a show in Canberra for Australia Day. We did a Fever show in Melbourne. So, there's always shows in the pipeline.
Nice. Yeah. No, and it's your new purpose going forward. And
it is my new purpose. I love it. I got a great team that I work with, and, it's not just me. I'm the chief remote pilot and oversee the regulations, but I have a great crew with me, and, we work together.
And I want to highlight here too. So recently, you we'll talk about your injury with your ankle in a minute. But recently, you're involved in Invictus Games, and what was that like for you after? And do you feel that Invictus it gives purpose again to catch up with old and see old mates? And did you enjoy competing in Invictus?
Look, Invictus is a program that's designed to, bring back that teamwork spirit desire to then help you move forward in life, whether that's through physical injury, mental injury, but it gives you a sense of purpose. And so, I found the Invictus program a couple of years ago, and I applied because I missed that camaraderie in sport. A lot of my injuries come from sport, not just military. I played AFL rugby, touch football at national level for the ADF. So it's a lot of impact that's not just army related. And so, I missed that. That was a big gap in my life when I left, and through injuries, and I couldn't do anything. I've had a knee replaced, and I got an ankle fuse last year.
Yep.
And so I used the Invictus Games as my purpose to prepare for that surgery. My ankle doesn't move anymore. It's fixed at a 90-degree angle. And so Invictus was my way of getting back some part of my life that had been lost through that injury and other injuries, and being reinvigorated my.
And did you take your daughter and your wife over there with you as well?
So 2024, I was part of the Warrior Games, the Australian team that were invited to the Warrior Games, which is in Florida. I did that by myself, mainly because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was involved. And the program is fantastic to support veterans, their families, the transition. It was incredible. And then on the back of that, I was also successful in making the Invictus team to go to Vancouver. And my partner Renee and Bella came. We all spent our time up at Vancouver, and it was the first hybrid Invictus Games. So I was lucky to compete in Skeleton. I wanted to snowboard, but can't get a foot in a boot. But, that was Bella's first exposure to snow up at Whistler. Like, if she's not sport from that, she's definitely got something happening. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, take nothing away from Perisher or down in Victoria, but Whistler's pretty. I've heard it's pretty amazing. So,
but no, it was great. It was just good to be able to feel part of a team again. And everyone in my team has their own story and their own journey and where they're coming from, where they're going to. And it's an incredible program that I would say to anyone that's kind of lost and doesn't really know where they're at. It's a program to help you push forward. It's not like let's get together with our mates on a yippee trip. Like, the program is designed to push you forward so that you can then stand on your own 2 feet and continue forward.
And you're competing against other people from around the world.
Yeah, and
you got gold, bronze, and silver medals. Look,
it was funny when I first got there. It's very much it's not about winning. It's not about the competition. Don't look at this as you're gonna be successful in. Like, success is different depending on who you are and what that looks like. And, I just wanted to, take on board what the coaches talked about and apply myself and do the best I could do. But it's definitely not designed to select people to make our most competitive team.
No, and that's always a good, because I know that there's a competitive edge in everyone, and they
100%. I had to really rein it in when I was like, why the fuck are you not moving to get the ball? Like, because people can't.
It's not, and that's the thing. It's building that purpose team and getting you back in that environment of, and being part of something bigger than yourself. That's Invictus does that very well. So.
Oh, absolutely. I still now play wheelchair basketball on a Monday night still, and, my Gold Coast Rollerblades team, I pushed up into the A grade this year.
Nice.
So, they're a fantastic organisation that welcomed me with open arms, and, I will continue to play with them and work with them and promote them. So if anyone with a disability on the Gold Coast wants to get involved in wheelchair basketball, come on over to Carrara Stadium.
I have had a mate on who recently, he was at Invictus as well, and he did the wheelchair basketball, and he said, mate, it is the best. You can have so much fun and not get injured.
Yeah, I wanted to play rugby, but I learnt very quickly that I'm too small, weak. I'm not. Yeah, I would have been a target and just been knocked out of the chair. Yeah, because that's what it's called, metaball. It's designed to smash someone out of their chair and get the ball.
Yeah, right. Oh.
Yeah.
No, so I think basketball, it's a great point you touch on. So if you want a little bit less, so you don't get smashed out, wheelchair basketball.
Yeah, I'd never even played basketball. I was always a touch football or rugby or pass a ball, not throw balls in hoops. But it was the program is there to help you, and you do a number of development camps to get you to a standard where you can actually compete, not just have the floor wiped with us. I also do sitting volleyball.
Right.
So I travel to Brisbane once a week to train with the coaches up there, so that hopefully one day I might make the Australian squad, and it'd be sweet.
Look at you go. You've found purpose in other ways, and you don't, like you always said at the start of the podcast, if there's, I want to be at the front, I want to be on the front foot here, let's what's next? And that's awesome. Then sport, you're going back to what you love the most, so that's awesome. And I've got a few final questions before we wrap up, and it's just been absolutely amazing to sit with you and get your story, recorded for history and for Bell, and for, it's this is why we do it. We capture them to lock them away, and I'm so honoured to sit across from you and share yours. And when we first reached out, when I reached out to you, I was like, yep, and you're like, yeah, man, I'll come on and have a chat. And so I appreciate you giving up your time, your precious time away from your family to do this. And this one's, because you're a female veteran, do you feel that women in the ADF get the recognition that they deserve? And if so, if they don't, why do you think that is?
I mean, look, I don't think it's, for me, my experience.
Of course, in your opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion, I don't think I was ever impeded or, look, there was minor times where I'd been, humiliated or ostracised by men. But honestly, in every circumstance, I always ended up with the better hand. You're always going to meet a goose in life, and
of course,
you just do what you want with them.
There.
Yeah, and I mean, I never felt that I was disadvantaged for being a woman. There's certain roles that were not open to women, and as soon as airborne was, I was there doing it, and I never got, I feel like as a woman, again in my experience, that if I did as good as the boys and a little bit better, then that's all that mattered. And that's what I took away.
Of course.
If I could do my job as good as they do their job, but sometimes better, especially in the all-core environment, then I made a brotherhood. And I think I was lucky where I started as a medic. A lot of those boys, I'd see them when they're vulnerable, so that kind of helps. But I mean, I think if I was a male medic, it would have been the same situation. So I never felt in my career that I was ever ostracised because I was a woman. I don't know that women don't get enough recognition. Sure, they probably, there's probably opportunities, but I just pull my weight and a little bit of someone else's, and yeah.
And I think you highlight a very valid point there too, is that, and this might sound sexist, but I'm going to say it, that and I've spoken to many female veterans that have said this, so I'm only repeating what's been said. They've said that if you are a female and you are going into these all-core trades, pull your weight, do your job, like know what you need to do and do it.
Yeah, and I think it kind of goes for anything. Like,
of course.
It's not really gender-based. Like, just do your job.
Exactly.
Whether you're a man or a woman, just do your job and be the best that you can.
Exactly.
Be the best version of yourself and pull your weight. And, yeah, like, there's going to be time. Like, on my paracourse, there was times where it was hard. Like, I had that fucking thing on my shoulder trying to get on the back of the ramp. You know, the men are very quick to come and try and help me.
Yeah.
And I could have easily given up and given it to them and said, sure, thanks very much. You know, like, it's a chivalry sort of thing to do for men to look after you. But, you know, I wanted to do that for me. Like, you know, it's a hard situation to be in, because I know that there is many women out there that have not had the same journey that I have had, and have not been in the same position as me, and have been mistreated, and, you know, that's not fair. And that goes for men as well. There's plenty of men out there that have been mistreated and had the same thing. So, look, I just hope we all get better at doing these things and recognising things and being better humans.
Absolutely. Well said. And for you now, what advice would you give to any young person that is thinking of joining the military, and what advice can you give them to, be it physically prepare, mentally prepare, and if they do want to go down that, because you dual trade, so medical path or see other options in the military?
Look, I think, you know, my advice to any person is be well informed with the correct information. Don't read shit that you see on Instagram and look at, you know, for whatever role, and think, you know, what you're being shown is 1% of the role, you know. Like, drone sounds exciting. Oh, there's fucking hours of my time spent cutting fat laps in circles looking at nothing. When it gets exciting, it's exciting. But it's that stuff that people talk about. You know, like, I just think inform yourself, be educated, and if that's what you want to do, go and do it. Like, life is too short, and if you don't like a job, then go and find something else.
Exactly. No,
but yeah, don't be influenced by people. Research, be educated.
Absolutely. And what advice do you wish you had been given when you first contemplated joining, or then soon after that you wish you had got now when you first joined?
What could I have told Sue when she went to recruit training? Just keep your fucking head nice front.
Well, as you said it, they knew who you were before. They knew who Aussie was before even seeing you.
I don't know what advice, because, you know, I'd watched, you know, Tour of Duty with my dad, and I thought, you know, one thing, you know, I was, you know, my perception of what the army was very different of the reality. It was better for me. I'd prepared myself for that physical piece, and then it wasn't all of that. So everything after that was easy. Yeah. Train hard, fight easy.
It's an old cliche that is put out, but it is so true. Train hard, fight easy, and that's what it's all about. And for you now, knowing what you know now and all that you've been through, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self, and would she listen?
Oh, what advice? I wish I'd bought a house sooner. Would I have listened? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, you know, if you're in a point in your life and you're wondering shoulda, coulda, woulda, just fucking do it.
That's it. Life's short. You just said it. Life's short.
You never know what is happening around the corner. Just be present.
Any young player out there, exactly what Sue said is just, you never know what's around the corner. You never know what you're going to be dealt with in life. Live for the moment, and because life is short, it can be over like that. So, yeah, absolutely. And so, looking back now, with 27 and a half years serving our country, was joining the military, or joining the army, I should say, apart from marrying your beautiful wife and having Belle, the best decision you made, looking back?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything. Yeah, maybe I would have, like, if I was to be real, I wish I'd gone to apprentice school and become the chippy that I wanted to be. I want to build stuff. It would help now renovating my house.
Of course. Yeah, because tradies cost a lot of money. So
absolutely.
But you know, as you say, you can't go back, and
I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, you've had an amazing career, and you know. So, and being said with that, what are your plans going into the future now for you, career-wise and family?
Work less. Work-life balance, you know, like I was really lucky. I had a whole career and then I had a family. Now my focus is on, you know, my family and living comfortably and setting us up for, you know, I don't want to say retirement because I'm semi-retired now, but I mean, I just think, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, enjoy, like find a job that you're passionate about and then it doesn't become a job.
Yeah, great advice. And I think after 27 and a half years of serving our country, I think you can enjoy the next part of your career and you know, and as you say, that work-life balance, because it, as you say, you look back and go, holy crap, where did that time go? Like it goes quick, like it literally goes quick. And as you get older, you know, I was talking to my barber the other day, he's a young fella, and he's like, still at school, and he hates school. And I said, trust me, mate. I said, stay at school as long as you can. And I said, school is the best time of your life. And he's like, no, it's not, it's crap. And I'm like, trust me, it is the best time of your life. So, it goes like that. So enjoy it.
No, thanks heaps, mate. I really appreciate being on. I'm glad I could share my story and hopefully the listeners found it interesting and funny.
I have, and I'm going to finish with this. So your story is one of true grit, determination, and one of service and pushing yourself to, as you say, be at the front and, you know, do those things that you didn't think you could do, and go and do your para course, you go and get your wings, you then you lose rank, then you go back up again. You've done it your way, and you have brought pride to your family, and you have served with honour, and it has just been an absolute privilege to have you on True Blue and share your story. So Thank you, Sue.
Thanks
really
so
appreciate
much.
it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to True Blue Conversations with your host, Adam Bloom. Real talk with those that pledge to keep us safe with grit, sacrifice and determination. See you next time.